absolutely stunning loss.
Failure is part of the game. Even the best fail more than they succeed. But with every failure comes new opportunity. With every new at-bat comes new hope. With every new season comes a chance at redemption.
Driven to right center field. Deep. Home run. Into the second deck of the Rangers lead.
And the Texas Rangers are certainly looking like maybe the most potent team in baseball through the first 3-4 weeks of the 2012 season. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Arlington, where Josh Hamilton and the Rangers are off to a 16-5 start on the season against the 13-8 Tampa Bay Rays. Each team has already won one so far in this series. 7th year as the manager of the Tampa Bay Rays for the 2-time American League Manager of the Year, Joe Maddon. Let's take a look now at the Rays starting lineup, brought to you by Taco Bell. Desmond Jennings, second-year player, leads it off in left field on a 10-game hitting streak right now. He's got power, he's got speed. The guy who really makes the lineup go, the guy who just talked to Buster Olney a few minutes ago, Evan Longoria, hitting .329. He's driven in 19 runs on the season, 5 of them in the last 2 games here in Arlington. On the mound tonight for the Texas Rangers, a guy who has become known for many things. His mustache, the way he pitched in the second half of last year, the way he pitched in October of last year, Derek Holland.
Had a rough outing his last outing, but he has been nails for a long time since he burst on the scene, and the postseason really put him there since July 7th. Look at that, 3.23 ERA. Now his ERA is over 4. He's the only guy on this league-leading staff for the Rangers that has an ERA over 4. Everybody else is under 3.
Defensively behind Holland tonight, Josh Hamilton's in left field. Craig Gentry gets a start in center field to get another right-handed bat in there against David Price. Nelson Cruz is the right fielder. On the infield for the Rangers, the highlight is Elvis Andrus, who has really come into his own, working on his focus, his maturity. He has not committed an error in his last 53 games, going well back into last season. And Yorvi Torrealba is behind the plate tonight, catching Holland. Join our companion broadcast at ESPN.com's Gamecast for advanced statistics, and interact with Buster Olney on Twitter at Buster_ESPN and hashtag SNB. You can also like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/ESPN Baseball Tonight. You got all that, Tito?
I think so.
Are you up on your hashtags and your underscores?
No, I'm not. I'm not quite there yet.
Dan Shulman, Terry Francona, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney. And a packed house here in Arlington as Desmond Jennings steps in, hitting .274 on the season. Derek Holland ready to go on the mound for the Rangers. And we are underway here in Arlington. It is warm and it is extremely windy here tonight. Oral, from having been the pitching coach here, knows this ballpark better than anybody. The flags are blowing straight in.
That means the wind is blowing out to right center.
Don't let that deceive you. A little bit high, a ball and a strike. And the reason, as we discussed last time we were here, the wind comes in, hits the grandstand behind home plate and third base, and then shoots back out into the jet stream toward the seats in right. Pops him up near first base. And the catch is made by Mike Napoli for out number 1.
And Mike Napoli even there battling a little pop-up, because at certain levels the wind is blowing in different directions and the flags are blowing in, but it really is going out to right field, and Napoli had to battle that little pop-up. Nothing a for sure thing in the air here tonight.
So one down here in the top of the first, and the shift is on for the Rangers with Carlos Pena coming up. Left-hand hitting first baseman for the Rays, back with the Rays again after spending a year with the Cubs, hitting .263, 4 home runs. Struggling recently, as you can see, over his last 10 games. We will talk quite a bit tonight about shifting on the infield, more about the Rays than the Rangers, because the Rays have really taken this to new levels this year. Texas with kind of a standard shift that you'll see here on a left-handed hitter with power, although Kinsler's not as deep as you'll see some second basemen. Sometimes they're way out, Terry, 30 feet into right field.
And the other thing that's interesting, and I think it makes a lot of sense, is you play your infielders to pull and you play your outfielders the off field. And the reasoning behind that is that obviously Carlos Pena is a dead pull hitter on the ground, and if he hits it in the air, they're going to favor him on the other side of the pull side. It sort of goes against maybe common sense, but it's really good.
Swinging a foul back, and the count is 1-2. That got a piece of the fingers, it looks like, of Torrealba, who's in some discomfort behind the plate. There's Ron Washington, the skipper of the Rangers, who's celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday. Back-to-back trips to the World Series, including, of course, the heartbreaking defeat in 7 games against the St. Louis Cardinals last season. But they're a confident bunch. He's a confident manager. They're good, and they know it.
But you can tell from talking to Wash, it's still there. I mean, they've been there twice. They've been close, but you can tell it still eats at him a little bit.
Fouled back by Pena. Pre-game, Ron Washington coming out for BP, and they knew it was his birthday. Happy 60th birthday, Ron Washington. Look at that hat. All he needs is a win tonight, and it's a perfect day. He's something, isn't he?
I don't know what about that hat.
Swing and a miss. Pena gone, 2 down.
You don't need a shift when you make him swing and miss, and he had an outstanding breaking ball here to Pena, low and away. Made a pitch that looked like it was going to be a fastball down the middle, and you watch the rotation on that ball make the ball move away from Pena towards the outside corner, plus a little depth to it going down. Very nice pitch.
So a good start tonight for Holland, trying to bounce back after a rough outing against the Yankees on Monday night. 2 out, nobody on for Evan Longoria.
And this is a big key for Tampa. If they got to keep Evan Longoria on the field. When he stays healthy, he's one of the most productive players in all of baseball.
Had trouble doing that early last season. Had an oblique injury that cost him some time early in the year, but from middle of June on was as good as any hitter in the American League. And he's carried that right over into 2012. Well, he's as good in the mere mortal category as anybody.
Yeah.
Josh Hamilton and Matt Kemp are off in their own categories in their respective leagues right now. Longoria with some very good numbers in his career against Holland. Some very good numbers against left-handed pitching this year. 11 for 23. Speeding in there, Bulldog, 2-2.
Holland had a rough outing against the Yankees. He went 6 innings, gave up 7 earnings in his last outing, and Ron Washington wants him to put it in the rearview mirror. But the thing that'll make him do that and be exceptional tonight, the off-speed pitches, using all his pitches.
Off-speed again, swings over the top of a changeup as Holland strikes him out and ends the inning. To the bottom of the first in Arlington. Coming up third, Josh Hamilton in the scoreless game with David Price on his way in for the Rays. ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live más. And in part by Dodge. Visit your local Dodge dealer today. Back for the bottom of the first here in Arlington, Texas, where they have fallen in love with his baseball team over the last couple of years. Huge crowds. Back-to-back American League pennants, off to a great start this year. No scores. We go to the bottom of the first. Let's check out the Rangers starting lineup now. Brought to you by Taco Bell. This is a dangerous group. Ian Kinsler, not your prototypical leadoff hitter. He can put the ball in the seats in a hurry. And, of course, a guy just doing everything so far this year for the Rangers, Josh Hamilton. Look at those numbers. And we are still in the month of April. They lead baseball in runs scored. So it won't be easy tonight for a guy who has never defeated the Texas Rangers in his career, Oral. Left-hander David Bryce.
One of the best outings in his career. His last outing, he threw a shutout, and the way that came about was using his off-speed pitches and only facing one lefty in this lineup tonight, Hamilton, a key at bat. But these righties love to attack first-pitch fastballs, and so he's going to need some of that off-speed stuff early in the count.
And, Terry, that applies to the leadoff hitter, Kinsler. He's dangerous.
He is always a threat. To see the first fastball he likes and try to hit it out of the ballpark and give him a 1-0 lead.
He's got 5 home runs already this season. He's hit over 30 on a couple of occasions in his career.
They'll be in at bat tonight. And again, depending on the score of the game, where he goes up there and he sits first pitch fastball and he tries to come unglued.
A 17th round pick in the draft out of the University of Missouri back in 2003. He's turned himself into an all-star, just signed a huge 5-year deal worth $75 million. Getting on base, hitting for power. Rolls one to short, and Sean Rodriguez makes the play, one down.
I think we're seeing the effects of that changeup already.
That was an ugly swing on a changeup right there. Ian Kinsler shaking his head. Not used to seeing that from David Price, who really came into this league as a flamethrower and has started to develop his changeup.
So one down here in the bottom of the first. Josh Hamilton waits on deck.
And he's already swinging.
Swings at the first pitch more often than any hitter in baseball, Josh Hamilton does. Let's see what Elvis Andrus can do. He's hitting .266. He is playing probably his best baseball. You can hear in the words of Ron Washington that Andrus has turned a corner. Washington has really been on Andrus the last couple of years. Make the simple play, not the spectacular. Understand the situation. Great tools Andrus has, but sometimes didn't utilize all of them properly. Slashes the ball down the right field line, but foul.
And you could tell Ron Washington was proud of the fact that this kid's starting to finally get it. I mean, he hasn't made any errors, not stating the obvious, but he's not trying to finish plays that he shouldn't, and he's using his footwork. And if a runner beats the ball out, he's not thrown to a base without looking, doing some things of making errors out of being careless.
His typical youthful mistakes early on in his career, just that over-exuberance of trying to do too much, and led to a lot of errors.
Inside at the bell, the ball and 2 strikes.
When you can talk about your shortstop and you use the word reliable, boy, that's a nice feeling.
Yeah. Outfielders playing to hit the ball the other way. Big gap in left center and down the left field line. Got a piece.
You see 83 miles an hour. That's David's changeup. And as he's developed his changeup, the reason it hasn't been good is because it's been too hard. And now he's starting to be able to take some velocity off. So his average fastball is one of the top left-handed fastballs in the game, 93, 94 miles an hour. So that 10-mile-an-hour differential is very, very good.
Weakly hit, and it's a foul ball. Got the foot of Andrus. He only ran a few steps, never dropped the bat, and called a foul ball by home plate umpire Dan Bellino.
He's thrown a lot more changeups to righties this year. 2011, you see 14%. Now he's up to 20. And the other number that's starting to rise is his slow curveball. So the off-speed stuff is starting to come around. known for the fastball and then inconsistent off-speed stuff, and to take him to that next level, even though he was a 19-game winner 2 years ago, is the off-speed stuff really being in command.
Although Joe Maddon said before the game, if he's having one of those nights where he's blowing everybody away at 95, keep doing it. But if it's one of those nights where he needs his off-speed pitches, he's glad to see that Bryce now can expand his arsenal and use all of those pitches effectively.
And talking to him yesterday, he's a nice kid. He's intelligent. He's fun to talk to, and he knows what he's trying to accomplish. I mean, you're 6'5", left-handed. You throw 95. You ought to be confident.
Buster Olney's trying to get on the air right now to say, of course, he's got a lot going for him. He went to Vanderbilt, just like Buster did.
Teasing him yesterday. Told me he didn't have the grades to get into the University of Arizona.
Chopped. Foul up the third baseline.
Thought Buster was going to punch me.
Oh, he said he won 19 games 2 years ago. Last year he lost 13. He was 12-13. But a lot of that was lack of run support. You could see the 3.49 ERA in the American League East or Beast. That's a real good ERA. He just didn't get much support from his team. I think in about 13 of his losses, I'd say the 10 of them he got less than 3 runs.
A long battle here. The 9th pitch upcoming to Andrews as Hamilton waits in the on-deck circle. And it's a low ball 4. Andrews draws a big one-out walk. So a man on for Hamilton.
And you can just feel the entire ballpark when he walks up to the plate. This is when nobody goes to get anything to eat.
No boomsticks when Hamilton's up there, huh?
Not even for the boomstick.
9 homers, 24 RBIs, leading the league in both categories. Runner goes. Pitch taken. Throw down. Not nearly in time.
And this is the way Texas, they have so many different ways to beat you. You got a premier hitter in the league up. They don't sit around and wait. They go first move, knowing that they're thinking about the hitter, and he gets into second easily. They got a lot of different ways to hurt you offensively.
Infielders play him to pull, outfielders straight away. And the count in Hamilton's favor at 2-0. It is a big year for Josh Hamilton. The last year of his contract. Unless he signs a deal during the season, he'll be a free agent at the end of the year. Ron Washington said he came to him in the spring and he said he's on a mission. He wants to play in 156 games. Where that number came from, we're not sure. He's going to sit out 1 a month. Wants to play in 156. And if you're the Rangers, where do I sign, right, if he plays in 156?
Yeah, and Wash made the point. He said, I don't care why he's playing, whether it's money or, we want his production. And that's exactly what they're getting.
Has not had a lot of success in his career against Price. Is hitting over 400 this year against lefties. 406 to be exact. 388 overall. Ground ball past a diving Keppinger to the right center, a base hit. Andrews will come in to score. An RBI single for Hamilton makes it 1-0 Texas.
With a man on second, Tampa Bay was not allowed to really shift. It just didn't lend itself to that, trying to keep Andrus close to second base. And so Hamilton, this ground ball on the spray chart is right in his wheelhouse. He hits a lot of balls there, and normally this ball should be caught. Keppinger gets a bad jump on the ball and then just overdives it slightly. But if there's nobody on, I think that's right at somebody.
RBI number 25 on the season for Josh Hamilton. This is the 22nd game of the year for the Rangers. Let me ask you guys a question that Buster Olney posed. Almost said Buster Posey posed. That Buster Olney posed in our meeting this morning and wrote about it in his column today on ESPN.com. Are we looking at the possibility, and we're not even a month into the season, but with the starts that Josh Hamilton and Matt Kemp have had, Do you think there's a chance for one of these guys to win a Triple Crown this year?
I think there's a chance. I think if Josh Hamilton plays 156 games, that's the biggest variable in the whole equation. It's not ability if he shows up. He definitely can win the Triple Crown if he's in the lineup.
And I would say the probability is very, very slim.
Ground ball under the glove of Price. Keppinger flips to the bag for one, and that's all they'll get. A fielder's choice. 2 down.
Just too many good players. And too many guys that somebody's going to hit for either a higher average or somebody's going to hit a bunch of home runs. Just hard to imagine them doing that for a full year. Now it's fun to talk about, and the starts they've gotten off to, it makes you think.
Last player to do it, Carl Yastrzemski, back in 1967. And he picks up the base hit in the RBI. Forced at second. 1-0 Rangers with 2 down. And here's Michael Young DHing tonight. Hitting .333, hit .338 last year. It's the highest batting average that Young has had in his career. Drove in 106 runs. That's the most runs he's ever driven in his career.
He's really slowing down.
And that's in response to, I think I should be traded because they want me to be a full-time DH, and they got through that controversy, and he handled it the way he always does, very professionally, and a great teammate.
And that had a chance to be a controversial problem, and because of his professionalism, it never got to that point. He was always a good teammate, and they got past it.
Beltre the lead at first, and a swing and a miss. 1-2 on Young. Josh Hamilton on the bench. As we were talking about 156 games, we were watching as he walked into the dugout, and he had his right arm kind of behind his back, and impossible to speculate on what it could be, but you could see from that replay there of his facial expression, he's grimacing about something. Strike 3 called to get Young and end the inning. We'll see if Hamilton's all right. He has driven in the only run of the night. Texas leads early. Welcome back to Arlington. 1-0. The Rangers lead the Rays. Josh Hamilton back out in right field. We will show you a replay as soon as in left field, excuse me. We will show you a replay right now of what we think happened. It was on the slide into second when Hamilton was forced, and we believe he just may have suffered a bit of a scrape or a burn on the right hand in the dirt there. He was looking at his right hand as he came off the field and then again in the dugout, so it does not appear to be anything serious.
The stuff they put on the infield, some ballparks call it turfus, but it's sharp, and you can get like a rug burn.
Ben Zobrist leads off the second for the Rays. The count is a ball and a strike on the right fielder. Very versatile player. Plays a lot of second base. Can play other positions. Switch hitter, but off to a slow start. Was off to a terrible start. He's getting better now. As he hits the fly ball down the right field line, and it is a fair ball. Good effort by Cruz, but Zobrist is around second on his way towards third and in there with a leadoff triple.
And Zobrist has been struggling so much, especially against left-handers. But you talked to Derek Shelton, and he said this past week, it's not shown on his batting average, but his at-bats have been much better. He's been taking walks, and if he hits the ball the other way like that, you're going to get rewarded just because you use the whole field.
And what an important bat he is for this Tampa Bay lineup. They are fourth in the American League in runs scored. You look at the individual names and numbers, and then you see where they are as a team, and they always seem to exceed where you think they would be.
They mix and match, and this is a good example. Jeff Keppinger playing against a left-hander, he's going to give you a good at-bat. If you play him every day, you'll probably see his production drop, but against a tough pitcher like Holland, he's going to give you a good at-bat.
It's a chance to play against left-handers a lot. Joe Madden really mixes and matches, uses all the data that he can get. Pitches inside, a ball and a strike. So as an example, Matt Joyce, who was an all-star last year, one of their better hitters, he is not in the lineup because he does not hit lefties well. So Zobrist can move out to right field. Keppinger can go into the game at second base.
And an interesting alignment here defensively. Texas isn't conceding the run on the corners. They'll give it to him up the middle.
And this is where a young pitcher on the mound needs to really eliminate a crooked number. You can put up a little tin soldier, a 1. You're probably going to see a lot of runs scored tonight, somewhere in the range of 4 or 5 per team, I think, just the way the wind is blowing. So you don't want to just try and pitch to save this run and give up a big number.
Missed inside, 3-1.
And that's the type of pitch that can start to get you there where it's not bad to throw a breaking ball in that 2-1 count right there, but you got to try and throw it for a strike to not get in a count where you got to give in or you got a chance to walk somebody and set up a real big inning.
Toward right field, it'll drop for a base hit. Keppinger drives in Zobrist, and the Rays tie it.
And I think sometimes as a manager, that's why you see managers play the infield back early in the game. It's just so your pitcher doesn't try to do too much, and then you create an ugly inning. You know, like you said, give up 1 run, not 4.
The down and in breaking ball 2-1 for a ball then makes him want to not walk anybody, so he kind of gives in with this fastball. It's elevated out over the middle of the plate, and Keppinger doesn't do too much with it, just kind of guides it into right field. But the 2-1 breaking for a ball set that pitch up.
Now B.J. Upton, first pitch swinging, drives a ball high and deep to left center field, off the wall on the fly. Keppinger is going to be held at third on a long double by Upton.
And Keppinger did a real good job of base running, but with nobody out, no reason to get overly aggressive and send them. They got a chance for a big inning here. I mean, he gets all the way out. Again, this ball, if they do catch it, there's no way they're going to double him up. Watch him. He's going to get way out. He's going to get all the way past second. If they catch that ball, he can go back. Look, he's in great shape. But a good decision. They have nobody out, no reason to get overly aggressive.
He actually put the brakes on for a moment around second as if he maybe lost the flight of the ball.
Maybe, and again, some of these signs out there, you can lose a ball.
So second and third, nobody out, a run in. Luke Scott, the DH, is the batter. The shift is on for the Rangers. So we've got Beltre over near third base, the other 3 infielders on the right side of the diamond. Swing and a miss by Scott. Scott with 5 home runs, 16 RBIs so far this season. He comes from Baltimore, where he spent the last 4 years, hitting 20 or more homers 3 times in those 4 years. Last year, the exception, he had some injuries and only appeared in 64 games. And here's one area where the Rays are really good. A productive out. And here, if he's going to make an out, ideally, he makes it on the right side, scores the run, and gets up to the third base. And the Rays focus on this kind of thing as much as any team in baseball.
And you can bet Texas would love to play Beltre way farther over, but they can't with the runner on third, or anything in the dirt allows him to get a huge lead and score.
Well, he's done a pretty good job of getting the runner over. He's done more than that as he hits it off the wall on the fly and right. Keppinger in to score. Upton only goes from second to third, as he did not start running. He was waiting to see if the ball was going to be caught. So on a double by Scott, Upton only advances 1 base.
And everybody's looking at Foley and wondering what he's doing. But because BJ got stuck and didn't know which way to go, he put Tom Foley in a real difficult position. Again, watch Foley here. He's watching. He's watching. He wants to bring him. And now he got stuck. And now the throw goes to third, but Foley had already made his decision. That's where you hope as a runner, the runner keeps his head up, and if he sees where the ball's thrown, he can be his own coach and just jog on into home.
But if you're not sure, as Upton was in that situation, should you go back as if to tag, which is what Upton did, or should you go halfway in case it gets over his head?
Nobody out. The idea is you want to get to third if that ball's caught. So again, it doesn't look real pretty right now. It wasn't as bad a base running as you think.
For me, he was too close to the bag. I think he's got to be 10, 15 feet away, not in there 2 or 3 feet away like he was. Because if you're 15 feet away, you can still go back to the bag and tag if an outfielder who's running away from you and away from third base catches the ball. Where you have to be closer, that 2 to 3 feet, is when it's to left field and the ball, and it's a shorter throw.
Chance for a big inning for the Rays. 2 in, 2 in scoring position, nobody out. Sean Rodriguez the batter. And an 0-2 count. Derek Holland laboring here in the second after a 3-up, 3-down first. And one of the issues for Holland so far this year is when he has gotten into trouble, he can't get out of it. He can't put up that 1 run in an inning. He can't contain the damage. And this is a very different story than what he did the second half of last year, when he took a huge leap forward. Fly ball right field, and well hit again. Cruz back again, makes the catch. Upton will tag and score. Now Scott played it a little bit differently than Upton. He kind of went about 15, 20 feet off the bag. So when it was caught, he just had to go back to second.
And again, this is what Tampa Bay is normally known for. And again, Luke Scott's one of their new guys, came over from Baltimore, basically a DH, but he could have jogged into third base right there.
Yep.
He did a great job of getting back. He just put on the brakes.
And you can see by the look on his face as he was talking to Tom Foley at third, he knows he should be standing right beside Foley right now. Sac fly for Rodriguez makes it 3-1, and the batter is the catcher, Chris Jimenez, hitting .350 on the season and hitting 7 of 12 against lefties.
You really get a shot of that jet stream that we have out there to right field. That ball wouldn't hit that well at all.
Foul back.
And it completely changes. It's that bad now with the runner on second as opposed to third. Texas doesn't have to bring their infield in.
Holland has given up 3 runs on 4 hits, 3 of them extra base hits here in the second inning. Shallow right center. Cruz wants it and makes the catch for out number 2. Would have had an interesting play at the plate if that runner's at third before that.
But you know what? That's probably deep enough to score the run.
Holland will now talk to Torrealba, his catcher. If you look at Holland's numbers over the last couple of years, and Orel, I don't know how much stock you put in this kind of thing. His numbers when Mike Napoli catches are way better than when Yorvi Torrealba catches.
And he's been asked about that. And they're not only friends on the field as pitcher catcher, but they are friends off the field. They hang together. They're always talking ball. And Knapp has made a huge impact on him because Knapp came from Mike Scioscia's school of catching, really knows how to call a game. And Mike Scioscia being the manager of the Angels, where Napoli was prior to coming to Texas. And so they have a great relationship. What is he, about 10-1 with him behind him?
So the ERA difference about 2.5 runs different. Back to the top of the order for Jennings.
Torrealba has a tendency, the catcher tonight, to call a few more change-ups, where Napoli likes to rely on his curveball a little bit more, and that sequencing seems to work out a little better for Holland.
But ultimately, whatever pitch the catcher calls, it's up to the pitcher to decide what pitch he wants to pitch the vast majority of the time. I mean,
yes,
you just keep shaking off.
You can definitely shake off, but there's something about that chemistry and that comfort level and the trust that puts conviction into the pitch at the very last second, that when you have that relationship with your catcher, some guys are mentally tough enough to just kind of push through that if they're not on the same page, and other guys, they like that comfort.
You pitchers are a quirky bunch, Orel, you know that?
Well, some of us are. Just like the play-by-play guys.
You know, we're talking about quirkiness. Holland got roughed up his last outing. Now he's got his pants pulled up high tonight. For me, that was always a red flag. When you see guys changing their appearance because they gave up hits, that worried me a little bit.
I'll tell you, if I had a really bad outing, I would undress my whole locker. I'd start over. I'd go new T-shirts, new underwear, new socks, new everything, new spikes.
You toss everything?
Yeah, I would toss it all, just start over and get fresh stuff. Now, I'd wear my pants the same length. But
boy, if I went on having a bad day,
you wouldn't have any clothes left?
I've gone through 500 lockers.
Again, the 1-2. In the air to center field. Gentry back with room to make the catch and end the inning. Holland upset, gives up 3. Rays lead, middle of the second.
Holland.
And a 3-1 lead for the Rays over the Rangers in the rubber match of this 3-game series. Josh Hamilton with an RBI single for the Rangers. And this is him at first base before the slide into second. As we went through some more replays during the break, you can see him kind of twisting his shoulders as if maybe he had some discomfort in his back. Checks his hand there after he slid into the dirt with it, but then puts his hand on his back as he's walking down the steps. And so now it makes you think, like, yeah, maybe the hand burns a little bit from the slide in the dirt, but maybe just a little discomfort in his back. Again, hard to speculate, but reading the body language and again looking at the replays during the break. David Price on the mound for the Rays. Nelson Cruz will lead it off. Cruz hitting .235 on the season, 2 home runs. As he takes a strike. A lot of success, as you can see, in his career against Price. Slashed foul right side. Cruz, of course, was just a monster with the bat, Oral, in the playoffs last year for the Rangers, but unfortunately for him is best remembered for the ball that he didn't catch in Game 6 of the World Series.
Yeah, I think he'd like to have that one back. The effort level and the approach to that ball was not as aggressive as anybody that rooted for the Rangers would have liked.
And you see him catch that ball last inning, and you just wonder how many Ranger fans probably just thought, what if?
Yeah, he shied away from the wall on that play, and you'd think to catch the last out of the season to be the world champions, you'd run through the wall, and I think now that he's had time to think about it, he thinks he should have.
He's a very conscientious kid, and he's done a great job. It just proves that the game's played by humans, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes plays don't get made.
Fouled back. Let's take a look. This is Game 6 of the World Series, and the Rangers at this point, when this pitch is thrown, are a strike away from winning the World Series. And just a little hesitation, maybe feeling for the wall just a little bit. Well, it was a triple for Freese. The game continued. The Cardinals eventually won it on the home run by Freese in the 11th inning, and then won Game 7 the next night to win the World Series.
And again, it's not lack of effort. He just didn't quite know where he was in the outfield. He was expecting to hit the wall about one full step before he got there.
We asked Ron Washington a little bit before the game tonight about how the Rangers have dealt with what happened last October, and he said this team has not run from adversity. They faced what they did last year. They put it behind them. Broken back ground ball to short as the bat narrowly misses Price and the mound. And Cruz retired. Let's go down to the field now with the Buster Olney.
Guys, you showed Josh Hamilton twisting with his back. Well, the Rangers are saying he's been taken out of the game with back stiffness day to day.
Aren't we all?
No, we had just, literally seconds before had said how Washington told us, Skip, I want to play 156 games, and back stiffness day to day. The Rangers will fly tonight after the game up to Toronto. They'll begin a 3-game series with the Blue Jays tomorrow. That's our ESPN game tomorrow night, Texas and Toronto. So wait and see if Hamilton's okay to answer the bell tomorrow night.
And that's always a good remedy for a stiff back. Hop on a plane
for 3 hours. Yeah,
at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Here's Napoli picking up where he left off last year. Napoli has 7 home runs in 63 at bats this season.
It's one of the pieces that they were really hoping would not be a one-hit wonder. Really come back. He and Cruz. We've had the stars really aligned so far. They had Adrian Beltre pull up going into second base. Wasn't a hamstring. He just tweaked something. Napoli has continued on his torrid pace since last year around the All-Star break.
Numbers as good as anybody's in the American League since the All-Star game last year. And strike 3 called to get him. Second strikeout of the night for Price.
David Price locks him up on a fastball that really is very much in Mike Napoli's wheelhouse, but he's done such a good job mixing in his off-speed stuff early in the count so far. And Napoli not hitting yet this tonight has been watching that from the bench in the on-deck circle and just gets locked up mentally on a pitch that he normally pulls the trigger on.
Well, you don't see that happen very often right there.
No.
Oh, man.
He's thinking along with him, and he put by him what he normally looks for.
He usually takes a swing that unbuttons the top 3 buttons.
2 down in the inning, nobody on. And a strike taken by the catcher, Yorvit Torrealba, hitting .225 on the season. A run in the bottom of the first for the Rangers on the RBI single by Josh Hamilton. The Rays back with 3 in the top of the second. Ground ball backhanded nicely by Rodriguez, and the throw in time to get him and end the inning. 3-1 Tampa Bay at the end of 2. A Baseball Tonight update comes your way out of this break. Murphy takes over for Josh Hamilton, who left the game reportedly with back discomfort. So Murphy comes on to play left. 3-1 Tampa Bay going to the top of the third. Carlos Pena, Evan Longoria, Ben Zobrist, the batters, against Eric Holland. Well, guys, let me ask you, you've seen Bryce Harper now for a couple of days. In highlights alone, we're actually going to see him up close and in person next Sunday night. 1 week from tonight, Sunday Night Baseball in Washington as the Nationals host the Phillies. What do you guys think of what you've seen so far?
I think Bryce Harper is a tremendous talent. I think there's parts of his swing that he'll probably change as time goes on. It looks a little big at times and not always in the hitting zone, but you can't doubt that this talent is really off the charts.
And I don't think he's lacking confidence.
Just some subtle signs that lead you in that direction. Huh?
You know, his first major league hit, he knocks his helmet off as he's going into second.
Yeah.
And
kind of bumped into an umpire on a right turn back to the dugout and forgot to apologize.
Didn't even give it a second thought.
Yeah,
but again, I can't wait for next week because obviously he's an exciting, he's kind of a polarizing figure already. Be fun to watch his development.
I'm trying to think of another player who got booed in his first ever major league at bat, which is what happened at Dodger Stadium yesterday. Now maybe that's a sign of respect as well. Pena with the count 1-2, squaring the bunt. Pulls the bat back.
And guys like Bryce Harper, they're going to be the face of our game for the years to come. So you hope as they come up, they play the game with respect. and treat it the way it should be, because, again, he's going to be one of the better players in the game.
Washington losing to the Dodgers today. Dodgers continue to roll. They beat them 2-0. Do you think there are some veterans around baseball, veteran pitchers, who are looking at Harper, veteran players of any kind, and maybe taking offense might be strong, but wondering about what's going on inside this kid right now?
Count on it.
Yeah.
There's a guy back in ESPN studios right now, a former right-hander. He's a little chunky right now. I guarantee he'd take notice of that.
Yeah. I guess, Oral, that's how we'll find out, right?
Yeah, you might get a few wake-up calls, but you're not wishing anything against the young man. You just hope that it comes on real quick, that maybe there's some people around him to knock the edges off and show him the way.
Playing left field for Washington. They've got some injuries, and they weren't getting any production out at left field. So when Ryan Zimmerman, their third baseman, went on the DL, they made the move to bring Harper up, and he's played left field the last couple of days.
And he really wasn't tearing it up in AAA.
Full count. Derek Holland, you can see he's upset with himself. Just kind of, tapped the outside of his left leg right there in frustration. Gave up 3 runs on 4 hits in the second.
We talked about having efficient innings, and last inning certainly wasn't, and this isn't the way to start an inning.
And he lost him, ball 4. ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball continues tomorrow night and Wednesday night. 7 Eastern tomorrow on a Monday Night Baseball. The Rangers again, they will be in Toronto to take on the Blue Jays. Yu Darvish will be on the mound for Texas in that game. And then Wednesday Night Baseball also at 7 Eastern. The Orioles, who are playing very well right now, will take on the Yankees. This week on a Monday Night Baseball presented by USAA, and Wednesday Night Baseball, both games on ESPN.
Boy, how excited are you?
Going to the game tomorrow night up in Toronto.
Just can't get enough.
Going to see Yu Darvish, who's coming off a great start his last time out as he continues to get better and better. Oral, what have you liked about what you've seen of Darvish so far?
Well, like we said, coming out of spring training, he's getting people out in the strike zone. And when you get people out in the strike zone, you deserve a lot of respect and a big league hitter. And then once you do that, he's getting people then to chase. He's got the respect that he will throw the ball over the plate, and then he's got a lot of weapons to get you out.
A ball and a strike as we send it down to Buster.
Guys, you hear a lot of stories about Yu Darvish, and Derek Holland swears this is true. He says that Darvish throws 85 to 88 miles per hour left-handed. Of course, Darvish is a right-hander. John Daniels, the general manager, said he's seen Darvish play long toss about 250 feet left-handed. He also spins breaking balls left-handed, and the reason why, according to what he said to Holland, is he just feels like it helps him keep his body in balance.
Well, throws harder with his left arm than Jamie Moyer does. And Jamie's left-handed.
For some of us, body and balance is just getting out of bed screens.
Longoria fouls it off 2-2. Well, Yu Darvish has already gotten on a plane to go up to Toronto, but before the game today, as if having 7 pitches isn't enough, he's working on a knuckleball, Oral.
Well, he doesn't need it, but it's one thing to throw a knuckleball on flat ground. It's another thing to throw it down a mound. And if he ever hurts his arm, maybe he could go to that someday. But Mike Maddox will have him stick to his basic 8 pitches.
On the appeal, he wins. And Longoria strikes out for the second time tonight.
And, you can already see, people want to talk about the similarities between Darvish and Daisuke. But you can already see how Darvish is mixing in with his teammates. He may not speak the language very well, but he's trying. And that's all his teammates care about. You can endear yourself to teammates just by trying.
Fernando Valenzuela did that during Fernando Mania, and as the days that I played with him with the Dodgers. He didn't speak English very well, wasn't real confident with it, but he mixed very well. He'd carry a lasso around and rope guys like they were cattle, and he'd come up with pranks and ways to communicate without having to speak.
And it endears you to your teammates because they know you're trying.
They love it. You're in the mix.
Zobrist tripled and scored his first time up. So Oral 8 pitches. A 4-seam fastball, a 2-seam fastball, a cutter, a hard curve, A slower curve.
What are we up to? 5
That's
now?
5.
That's 5.
A slider. That's 6. A changeup is 7. And a splitter is 8.
Splitter is 8.
So this presents
He's got
some
one sign that looks like an upside down L.
Yeah.
He's got every finger. He's got wiggling of the fingers to get to 8.
Got to take your glove off to give signs.
And Buster told us a cute story that Mike Napoli was very confident that he could show all 8 signs quickly to reporters, and about halfway through got lost track.
Yu Darvish on ESPN tomorrow night from Toronto. The Rangers and Blue Jays opening up a 3-game series at 7 Eastern. Sean McDonough, Rick Sutcliffe, Aaron Boone, Tim Kirchin will be there for the game.
Woo! Colin did a better job right there. He's starting to locate the fastball down around the knee. Really down for a big league pitcher is not knee high. It's about a ball below the knee. The true strike zone is supposedly the hollow of the knee, which is right below your kneecap.
But he's showing these hitters too many pitches. I mean, every hitter's a deep count. And major league hitters, good major league hitters, the more pitches they see, the more dangerous they get.
Yep. It is not a book that would be a mystery anymore. It just becomes a novel, and you read it and you know what's coming.
And if he's around long enough later in this game, he's not going to have something to go get out of a jam with.
Exactly.
Again, the 2-2. And it's a high fly ball to deep left field. Murphy back, jumps, and it's over his head and off the wall. Pena's around third. He'll come in to score. Zobrist with his second extra base hit of the game. 4-1 Rays.
And if the Rays get Zobrist going, being a switch hitter, the way he hits in the middle of the order, wow, what a big, big help to them. Zobrist saw every pitch he had, worked the count, and got a ball middle up, got extended. Murph actually tries to make the play, comes close. Good effort, just not 6'8".
Out there in left field for Josh Hamilton, who, if you weren't with us, left the game with some back discomfort an inning ago. What has been reported as back discomfort as Jeff Keppinger takes low ball 1. Eric Holland will get a visit from Yorvi Torrealba. Josh Hamilton, we saw him in the first inning after his base hit, twisting his back. Then on a ground ball by Adrian Beltre, Hamilton was forced at second, slid in, and looked like he might have scraped his right hand. Came up looking at his hand. But then as he got toward the dugout, put the back of his right hand on his back, and it was still twisting and grimacing when he was down in the dugout. He came back out for one more inning in the field, but then left the game. Keppinger pops it up. And Kinsler back in the outfield grass for out number 2. Now B.J. Upton, who doubled and scored last inning. The Rangers, guys, have not lost a series yet this season. This is their 7th series. They have won each of the first 6. They need to win tonight to extend that streak.
I think Ron Washington understanding that they better keep this game somewhat close. The way Bryce is throwing, they get Feldman up now just in case, try to stop the damage, because if you give up a couple more runs, this game may be out of reach.
In there for a strike. 1-1.
When I was the pitching coach here, Terry, I never felt like a game was out of the reach in this ballpark. They could score some runs, I'll tell you what.
That's a good point.
Pins and needles, especially when the wind's blowing. But that guy right there, Mike Maddox, has done a great job with this pitching staff.
It's early, but they're leading the league in ERA. 2.79 coming into the game tonight.
And that is unheard of for a Texas team with the way this ballpark plays offensively. This relates to the Colorados and the way the ball carries here. They've done some interesting things here to help the pitchers, though. They've grown the grass and changed the grass on the infield. They've got a larger blade grass on the infield now to slow the ball down. They're watering the dirt in the infield a little bit more consistently. You see how dark it is out there where the infielders are playing.
Shot into right field, a base hit. Zobrist is getting the wave around third. Cruz's throw coming through to the plate, and the tag applied by Torrealba to get him and end the inning. You can hear them chanting Cruz's name here in Arlington as he limits the damage by throwing out Zobrist at home plate to end the Tampa Bay third. Taco Bell is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Dan Schulman, Oral Hershiser, and momentarily Terry Francona. Here in the bottom of the third inning. The Rays lead the Rangers 4-1 on Sunday Night Baseball. As Craig Gentry, the center fielder, will lead it off against David Price. The Rays are 13-8. They're a half game behind. Wait for it. The Baltimore Orioles for top spot of the American League East. Baltimore won again today. They beat Oakland 5-2. The Orioles are 6 games over 500 for the first time since 2005.
The Fighting Showalters.
How about that? They have an ERA. Their bullpen has an ERA collectively under 2, which is the best in the American League. And Baltimore is 14-8. Elsewhere in the American League East today, the Yankees defeated the Tigers 6-2, so they took 2 out of 3. The Red Sox 6-game winning streak was snapped. They lost to the White Sox 4-1. And the Blue Jays defeated Seattle 7-2.
You know, those Baltimore fans, they deserve to see their team have some success. They've been good fans for a long time.
It's one of those ballparks where you see the highlights and you say, boy, it's a shame to see 10, 12,000 people. That beautiful ballpark.
Yeah. And they love their baseball.
Yes, they do. Two balls and a strike on Gentry. Ian Kinsler on deck, and then Elvis Andrus. Young Rangers fan hoping for a win and a souvenir here tonight. Bunted foul by Gentry, 2-2. Oh, wow, the Rays are doing well. The Rangers are doing even better. They are 16-5, matching the best start in franchise history. They've got the best record in the game right now. The Dodgers are right on their heels at 16-6. The Nationals, who we'll see next Sunday night, along with the Cardinals, the Orioles, and the Braves. Boy, good stories amongst all of these teams. They're all at 14-8. If the Rays win tonight, they'll be 14-8. How about St. Louis losing Albert Pujols, who granted isn't hitting now, but losing the guy who's been the best player in the game for the last 11 years. Adam Wainwright working his way back from injury. Chris Carpenter hasn't pitched yet, and they've got a great pitching staff and a great record.
Loesch, Westbrook, Garcia, Lance Lynn taking for Carpenter, yep. Just doing an amazing job.
And you can't help but think they're enjoying trying to prove the world wrong, that they can't win without Albert.
Gentry with a ground ball to short. Gobbled up by Rodriguez, 1 down. Now Ian Kinsler, who grounded out his first time up. And Kinsler's a guy we thought the Rays might put on that shift against. They have been shifting a ton this year against right-handed batters, which is not nearly as common in the game as it is against left-handed batters. Joe Maddon, the manager on the left there, talking it's all data-driven. They get tons and tons of numbers, not just spray charts. All teams have access to that, but and he wouldn't go into the details. They dig a little bit deeper, and you can see 73% of the ground balls off the bat of Ian Kinsler go to third base or shortstop, to the left side, distinctly to the left side of the infield. What did you guys take from Joe Maddon? And he didn't want to get into specifics, and we can certainly respect that. But what did you guys take from what the Rays are trying to do here defensively?
I think they've taken the scouting system and taken it to a whole new level.
And I think the new level is not only the direction the ball's hit, but how hard it's hit, if it was in the air or on the ground, what count, what situation. Maybe was I on AstroTurf or grass? They are just using all the different details and seeing if there are some tight enough patterns to make some little bit more severe adjustments to defense.
So it's not just how much a hitter pulls a ball, it's how much a hitter pulls a ball in this specific situation, whatever the situation may be.
There's a lot of factors. Who's throwing, what type of pitcher, what ballpark. And you can see, if we go back, David Price looked over his right shoulder and where his shortstop was before he threw the first pitch. He wanted to see where he was playing.
And here's maybe the most interesting part. The pitcher at any time can turn around to the infielders and say, I know what you're supposed to do because of our numbers. I don't want you to play there. The pitcher has the right to call off the shift. He does not have the right to come into the dugout at the end of the inning if the shift was on and complain about the shift.
Because he has the right of first refusal, right, or last refusal.
Yes. High in the air to center. Upton. 2 down. Here's David Price yesterday telling us about some of the shifts that the Rays employ.
Whenever you see you got a left-handed hitter up and you see everybody on that right side of that infield, you're probably going to think second about throwing a fastball away to that lefty. You're going to try and bury him in, or throwing something a little off speed to get him out in front to make him hit it into that shift. Because if not, all he has to do is kind of stick the bat out there and hit the ball on the ground on that left side, and probably 7 and 8 times out of 10 it's going to be a hit. So it's something you got to think about. But Joe is also given the pitchers free rein as to when we want to shut the shifts off. If we turn around and see somebody's being shifted and we don't want to shift, we can just tell the infielders play your open position, and that's fine.
Now, Price there was talking about a shift against a left-handed batter, which dates back to Ted Williams in 1946. Much more recent, really the last couple of years, as teams starting to overshift against right-handed batters. And I'll tell you, after all the talking we did with Joe Maddon before the game and all the attention this has gotten, he better do it once tonight.
But you know what it comes down to? All the information they have, part of the reason it's working is because of communication. They talk about how it was part of their spring training drills. They talked about it. They just didn't throw information at players and expect them to do it. Yep. They explained it to them, and they practiced it.
Well, years ago, coaches would do it on field just from watching it and having experience. And then we started drawing and charting with pencil and paper. And now we're at the point where ball clubs are putting budgets into computer systems and formulas and hiring people to put good data in and come up with things that are not just where was it hit, but a lot more data to each dot and each line.
And that's when it can get special, is when you take all that data from the computers and you take good baseball people and you combine it. That's when you got a chance to have something really special.
You saw from that graphic that we put up that they're already more than halfway to the total number of shifts they had the last 2 years, and we're still in April. And a much higher percentage of them against righties than traditionally. Broken back ground ball to third. Charged by Longoria. Andrus retired, and the inning is over. 8 in a row set down by Price. Welcome back to ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. They drag the infield here between innings with Terry Francona, Orel Hershiser, Buster Olney. And it looks like another sellout. Looks like an excess of 49,000 again here in Arlington for their beloved Rangers. They're trailing 4-1 tonight. Texas on pace. It's very early, but given the current trends, on pace to draw more than 3 million fans for the first time in franchise history this year. This is football country, make no mistake about it, but there's plenty of room for more than just one sport in these parts these days.
This is an easy team to like. I mean, the way they play the game, the personalities, the respect, it's a fun team to watch.
Luke Scott, the DH, is the batter. And foul off 1-2. Averaging better than 42,000. It looks like this will be their 6th consecutive sellout. Haven't totaled the numbers here yet tonight. They're second in the major leagues in attendance right now, behind the Philadelphia Phillies.
They're drawing television eyes too. That big local television package that has helped them increase their salaries.
And boy, how things have changed in the last few years. From a team that was finishing 3rd or 4th every year in the American League West, Nolan Ryan's taken over as the president. Great young pitching, huge crowds, ownership change, out of bankruptcy. That new television contract you were talking about, which seems to be the big difference these days between the haves and the have-nots in baseball. It's all good right now. They're kind of the envy of Major League Baseball in many respects right now.
But who'd have thunk it 3-4 years ago?
That's what it changed in a hurry.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss, and Scott has gone one down.
And they're not just situated for the here and now. I mean, they got some, some of their pitching is pretty young and controllable for the next 3 or 4 years. and they look like they're durable.
Holland on the mound, Harrison, another young lefty, Darvish they're going to have for sure. Colby Lewis is a free agent, another starter at the end of the year. They're going to wait and see on him. There's Colby.
Feliz,
Agondo, big arms.
Colby Lewis, as you mentioned, a free agent at the end of the year. Josh Hamilton, as we discussed earlier, is a free agent at the end of the year. Mike Adams, one of their top relievers. But they locked up Holland this year. They locked up Kinsler. Mike Napoli, also a free agent at the end of the year. Two and one the count on Rodriguez. Had a sac fly his first time up. Ouch. Torrealba appears to be all right. 2-2 the count.
They locked up Ron Washington with a new deal.
Got him. Strikeout number 5.
And looks like Derek Holland's starting to reel it back in, because last inning he simply threw too many pitches. He got in too many deep counts. I mean, facing Ben Zobrist, he showed Ben Zobrist everything he had. Fastball, breaking ball, fastball in, another changeup. Now again, this is his slider for his 5th pitch, and on the 6th one he catches too much of the plate and he hurts him. You can't show good major league hitters that many pitches.
Up high, ball 1 to Jimenez. 2 outs, nobody on. Top of the 4th, and the Rays up 4-1.
So much subtle information is exchanged when you throw one pitch. When do I start my swing for the hitter? What is he throwing? What's he look like he has confidence in? Oh, I read that spin real well out of his hand. There's just so many things the hitter is taking note of. And you can't, if you ask the hitter, he would say, I can't break it all down. But subconsciously, he starts to see it, and he gets less fooled, and he feels more comfortable, and it gets harder and harder to get the ball by him or to make him hit it weakly.
The deeper you get into a count, you better make a better pitch.
How many pitches, Oral, per inning would you strive to throw? What would be a good inning for you?
Well, I was a sinker ball pitcher, and so I'm throwing the first pitch down the middle with movement, and pretty much wasn't able to throw it straight. So 17 I thought was high for me. I didn't want to get over 17 pitches, and I'd love to be around 12 or 13.
Yeah. If you're at 12 or 13, you can complete a game.
Yep.
108, 117, somewhere in there. So
exactly. Yep. Sometimes you get out of it, everybody knows that if you are throwing fastballs down the middle with movement, the very first pitch, a lot of hitters, they don't want to get to your breaking ball, so you get a lot more early outs in the count.
Strike 3 called, and Holland strikes out the side here in the 4th. 4-1 lead for the Rays over the Rangers going to bottom 4. Time now for FaceTime presented by Edward Jones. Buster Olney with Joe Madden between innings.
Joe, we saw great variation in David Price in his previous start. What are you seeing tonight?
He's getting back to it right now. I thought his last inning was his best inning. I thought he had his best tempo with his delivery to this point. Fastball's there, a couple better changeups and a couple better breaking balls. If he gets into a nice rhythm, he's going to start pitching really well.
It's early in the year, but what does this series here, playing the way you are against the Rangers, mean to you?
Well, you know, it's they've been kind of tough on us as well as the rest of the league. They knocked us out of the playoffs the last couple of years. It's just good to know that we can play with them. They need to know that also. We've been playing well as of late. Our guys are very into the game right now, very eager. So if we can get this one tonight, go home 2 out of 3, that's not a bad thing.
Joe, thanks.
David Murphy leads off the bottom of the inning and fouls it back 0-1. Joe Madden, the 2-time American League Manager of the Year, and a guy, Terry, obviously, that he's been with Tampa the last 6 years. You were in Boston for 8 years, so for the last 6 years you managed against him 18 times a season. You also met up with him in the playoffs. Give us your impression of Joe Madden.
You know, it's different when you see him in his office as opposed to managing against somebody. You know, we play 18 times is a lot. And then when you get a chance to sit down with him and you're not competing against him, you see a different side of him. He's obviously very personable. He's very intelligent. But what I really like today is how much stock he put into communicating and building this guy's confidence.
And strike 3 called. Dan Bellino showing what looks like from up here a wide strike zone as Price gets Murphy for out number 1. Joe Madden spent many years as a coach on a Mike Scioscia staff with the Angels before taking over as manager of Tampa Bay. And in the last 4 seasons, they've been to the playoffs 3 times, won the AL East twice, made it to the World Series once. He's won the Manager of the Year award twice in the American League. And he's an interesting guy. I mean, he's got some real old school in him, but he's also very new age. He's really into the numbers, an interesting communicator with his players, and he brings in references from all over the place when you talk to him about things. I mean, he's a very interesting and well-rounded guy to talk to.
Not only are they a good team, they're a fun team to watch. I mean, it's a shame, you know, you'd like to see him maybe be able to get a new ballpark, because for as good a product as they're putting out there, not enough people watch that team play.
They've always got a new saying, a new slogan that they put on a T-shirt every spring training or during the year. They've got slogans that they have painted on the walls of the clubhouse. They have costume parties. They shave their head for charity. They do all kinds of stuff and get total participation.
I tell you what, Tito, let's shave our heads for charity. Let's all 3 of us shave our heads for charity.
I would only do it for a lot of money. I value what I have. It would have to be a lot of money.
Bulldog, you in?
Yeah, I'm definitely in.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will go for the bald wig 1 week.
There was one trip where the Rays last year, they all wore their favorite NHL team's jerseys, all on the road through the airport and into the hotel that night as Beltre grounds out.
They do a lot of really good team building stuff.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
And they have fun with it. And the one good thing is everybody buys in.
And is that a factor of the personalities they have on the team, or is that just Joe Madden getting everybody to buy in with the force of his personality?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think he's I think he has a good understanding of who he has and what works and what won't work, and they have fun with it. Again, in our game, if you can get the guys to want to do the right thing, you're way ahead of the arc.
Michael Young, the batter.
You know, the part that's old school about Joe is he wants to know about the character of the individual before it's added to his team. And their scouting staff does a great job not only watching a player play, but digging to find out the kind of person. And will he be a Joe Madden kind of guy, a Tampa Bay Ray?
I mean, they've remade their bullpen just about every year. And they haven't missed a beat. I remember 2 years ago, everybody was talking about how their window of opportunity would be closing. It's still wide open. And that's because they've made very good decisions.
Every year Joe Madden's been the manager, they've had a different pitcher lead them in saves. And Fernando Rodney, who's their closer right now with Farnsworth on the DL, if Rodney leads them in saves this year, it'll be another year with a different reliever leading them in saves. That's hard to do. Young bloops one into right field, a base hit.
But this is where you can't fall asleep on the Rangers. 2 out, nobody on. Michael Young just pokes one into right field. And again, somebody who can hurt you comes up to the plate to make this game close. Little change up, kind of got it up. But Michael Young, just an unbelievable hitter. He's quick enough to turn on the ball inside and good enough to stay on the ball away, even though he's slightly fooled.
Let me ask you guys a question. He's closing in on 2,100 hits. He's obviously got he's got several years left. He's 34. Does he have a chance to make the Hall of Fame?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Strike taken by Nelson Cruz.
Because he's a Hall of Fame teammate.
Yeah.
If he gets to 3,000 hits, doesn't he have to be?
Everything that's good about this game is in that body right there.
Up the middle, a base hit for Cruz. Young will stop at second.
You know, Terry, this is the thing you say, the Rangers can beat you in so many different ways. There's 2 just little poke it out in the outfield swings, but they do enough not to ground out. They do enough not to swing and miss and strike out. And now they've got a 2-out rally.
And their lineup is thick enough where because of these 2 hits, you got Mike Napoli sitting down in this 7-hole. If you look at him, he's got about 3 buttons undone. He's ready to hit one up over that left field wall with one swing.
Tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern on ESPN, the eyes of the soccer world will be on the Manchester Derby. It's Manchester City taking on Man U for the top spot of the rankings. It's the Barclays Premier League, presented by Sonosite on ESPN, ESPN3, and also live on Watch ESPN. Listen to the noise they're making for Napoli. But the Rangers brewing up something here with 2 outs in the 4th. And that's a Napoli swing. That's I'm going to tie this baby with 1 swing of the bat. Jim Hickey, the pitching coach, along with Joe Madden, they're checking the charts and the tendencies, determining where to play the defense.
They can't play him on the other side of the wall in fair territory. This guy's got that power.
They're playing him to pull, but this is not considered a full shift with the second baseman still on the second base side of the bag, if you will. Outfielders are deep. And in center field, at least, Upton playing Napoli to hit the ball the other way a little bit. And this is the tendency. Guys pull the ball on the ground, hit it the other way more often in the air. How about David Price? And he's fired up, getting one of the toughest hitters in the American League to get out of the jam. Rangers won. Derek Holland, David Price, our pitching matchup tonight. Two extremely talented young left-handers. Holland struggling in the second and third, and then struck out the side in the fourth. Desmond Jennings, the leadoff hitter in the Rays lineup, leads off the fifth and looks at a strike. Jennings has popped up and flied out on a 10-game hitting streak entering the game tonight. They're in even with the bag in the corners, backed up the middle on the infield for the Rangers. Jennings, described by Joe Madden when asked before the game what kind of a player could he develop into. He mentioned Shannon Stewart, a former outfielder who spent most of his time in Toronto. Very good speed, right-handed batter. Although Madden says that Jennings has more power and will develop more power than Stewart had.
And he also talked about how maturely he plays the game, how he gets good jumps, he takes good routes in the outfield, the way he runs the bases.
Strike three call. Another strikeout for Derek Holland. Time now for more FaceTime presented by Edward Jones. Buster Olney between innings with Ron Washington.
Ron, Josh Hamilton left the game. What can you tell us about how he got hurt and what his prognosis is?
Well, when he got the base hit, he came out the box. He sort of tweaked his back a little bit, but it's only muscles, so it's day-to-day.
What are you seeing in Derek Holland tonight on the mound?
Well, I'll tell you, his off-speed stuff is real good. They just caught a few fastballs right there in that second inning and threw some runs up on us, but, he's trying to make the adjustment with the fastball and get it down, but his secondary stuff is tremendous.
Ron, thanks.
Thank you.
Carlos Pena bloops one into left field for a base hit. And for those who weren't with us earlier, if you're wondering what Buster and Ron Washington were talking about, Josh Hamilton had a base hit in the bottom of the first, an RBI single. You can see him there kind of stretching out his back at first base. On this ground ball, he would be forced at second base. And as he was walking off the field, put his right hand behind his back right there. Showed some discomfort in the dugout. Came out and played one more half inning defensively, but then left the game after that. Again, not expected to be serious, according to what it looked like and what Ron Washington said. The Rangers flying up to Toronto after the game tonight to begin a 3-game series with the Jays. And the first game tomorrow night on ESPN. Yu Darvish and Kyle Drabeck, the pitching matchup at 7 Eastern. Here's Evan Longoria. And Longoria has struck out in both at-bats tonight.
For Josh, the Rangers, and for all baseball fans, you hope he's not hurt at all, because he's been a pleasure to watch his whole career, and especially the beginning of this year.
And that game tomorrow is going to be a fun one. I mean, Darvish is stirring up some excitement around baseball.
Ripped to third, caught by Beltre for out number 2.
Way to charge the ball, AB.
Only charging of this ball. Oh, and Longoria knows he smoked it. And he's like, oh, golly, right at him. Play the same position. You've done that against somebody else.
So Longoria 0 for 3. 2 down in the inning now. Here's Ben Zobrist, who's already tripled and doubled tonight. Funny how the game works. Came into the game only 3 for 27 against lefties this year, and he's got a triple and a double tonight.
And these are the guys that made me really nervous. Guys that come in cold. Now his first couple at bats are really good. He's going to get hot.
It's not time to take those guys for granted as a pitcher. It's time to continue to try and fool them and bury them. Find out why they've been slumping and just keep on them. Because if you relax on those guys that are cold, it gets hard.
And for whatever reason, good hitters, as cold as they get just as hot, and they seek their level.
Long look down to Tom Foley, his third base coach. Pena the runner at first, 2 down. There for a strike. Holland with 7 strikeouts through 4 2/3, but he's also given up 4 runs on 7 hits. 4 of them extra base hits. Throw down to second, and they got him. 1-3-6 on the putout. Inning over in Arlington. Baseball presented by Taco Bell. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning here in Arlington. The Rays looking to take 2 out of 3 from the Texas Rangers, the 2-time defending American League champion Texas Rangers. And they lead 4-1 on the strength of a 3-run second inning. Torrealba, Gentry, and Kinsler 8-9-1 due up for the Rangers here in the 5th against David Price, who's given up a run on 3 hits, has walked 1 and struck out 4 so far tonight, coming off a great performance against the Angels, a complete game shutout in his last start. Outside, ball 1 to Torrealba, who grounded out his first time up. Not only is Tampa Bay off to a good start, but Terry, they've played a pretty rough schedule. They've already played a lot of the other teams who expect to be contenders. They played the Yankees and the Tigers, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, who are a good team, the Angels, who are supposed to be a good team. Now they're finishing up with the Rangers. They're doing pretty well.
And they're a tough team to play because of their speed, because of their pitching, because of the way they approach the game. You don't just stroll into town, and I mean, you got to prepare for them. And every time they hit the ball, that ball better end up where it's supposed to, or they run you into mistakes. Yep. You know, they were always athletic, but then all of a sudden they developed their young pitching, and that's when they really turned the corner.
How about this? Every one of their starting pitchers is homegrown. All 5 come from within the organization. There's a base hit up the middle for Torrealba.
Well, he gives a base hit right there, but David Price has really started to grow as a pitcher, and one of the things as you grow is developing your rhythm and your tempo so you're able to start hitters off with off-speed pitches instead of just a fast-pitch fastball. There he throws a changeup in an 0-0 count, then a little cutter to get ahead, and then a little breaking ball. The other thing you need to do is how to get back into counts when you fall behind. 2-1, 1-0, 2-2. What do you do to get back into counts? And he's been able to throw his secondary pitches tonight with that rhythm and tempo of just being able to locate it early in the count and then also to get back in a count.
Leadoff man aboard. Number 9 hitter is up, Gentry. Sharply hit and past a diving Rodriguez into left center, a base hit. Torrealba to second.
And even though we're at the top of the order, don't think they're not thankful that Josh Hamilton's not sitting in that number 3 hole right now. David Murphy is a good professional hitter, but he hasn't hit a home run off a left-hand pitcher in 2 years.
There's trouble, though, in Kinsler. 2 on, nobody out. The Rangers threatening in the bottom of the 5th. Kinsler's 0 for 2. There you talked about how every now and again he'll just go up there looking for a first pitch fastball to hit as hard as he can. It's a roller to the right side. They'll get Kinsler as the runners advance.
Now he moved the runners with that ground ball, but that wasn't his intent. He was trying to do some damage, and Price made a good pitch.
There's Josh Hamilton in the dugout, but out of the game. Left a couple of innings ago with a back discomfort. David Murphy's taken over for him. Murphy in the on-deck circle right now as Elvis Andrus comes to the plate.
And as good a hitter as Josh Hamilton is, you need a really long bat to be dangerous from over there.
Hamilton, before he left in his one at bat, drove in a run on a base hit. His American League leading 25th RBI in the season. He's hitting over 390. But he is out of the game tonight. Andrus takes low.
And here's where pitching coaches, managers talk about limiting the damage.
Exactly.
Give up one.
I think that's why you don't, intentionally walk anybody right here. Even though Murphy's on deck, a lefty on left situation, you have the dominant part of the equation if you're David Price. But you don't want to just load the bases here in the middle of this game.
We've seen Andrus already tonight fight off some tough pitches and a long at bat, a 9-pitch at bat, drew a walk in the first inning. Friday night here, there was a great at bat. It was 8-4 Tampa Bay in the bottom of the 8th inning. Bases loaded, 2 outs. And Wade Davis and Elvis Andrus went at it for 11 pitches. Andrus almost hit a grand slam on the 10th pitch and then hit a fly ball to center on the 11th. Watching it on TV, it felt like October baseball. It really had that feel.
And Joe Madden said it felt like that in the dugout.
Yep.
And I know you don't try to get ahead of yourself, but don't think David Price, he does not want to get to Adrian Beltre this inning.
Big opportunity for the Rangers. Down by 3 here in the middle innings. 2 in scoring position, 1 out. And the 2-1 to Andrus. At the belt for a strike, 2-2.
It's an exceptional pitcher's pitch. We talked about off-speed pitches to get back in the count. Well, he went reverse of his current pattern tonight, which has been to throw the off-speed stuff, the cutter, the changeup, the curveball to get back in the count. There, he locks him up with a perfect fastball up and in.
And now he raised his eye level with the pitch up. Now he gives himself a couple options.
Torrealba the runner at third. Gentry's out at second, 1 down. 2-2.
Last pitch, Jimenez went to the mound after an exceptional pitch to get to the 2-2 count, and they went with no sign right there. They felt like some signs might be getting relayed out from second base. And they he said, let's just call this sign verbally.
You know, we talk about all the advanced scouting and everything. That goes in, you know, looking at catcher signs. There's a lot of ways now that you can do some things with video.
Boy, look at the run on that pitch. I mean, Jimenez barely caught it. It cut so far in. Maybe a cross-up the way they're talking about it now.
Well, and I think they want to make a pitch without putting a sign down. You got runners on base that have seen too many sequences, and they don't want to give them any help.
And when your pitcher is starting to become real good because of rhythm and tempo, that little meeting right there is not real good. You saw Jim Hickey, the pitching coach, kind of shaking his head like, I wish they weren't doing that. Just get right after him. You're in a good rhythm, big boy.
3-2. Breaking ball grounded to short. This will get a run home. Torrealba scores. Gentry to third on the RBI ground out by Andrews to make it 4-2.
That's some growth right there by David Price again. We're talking about a guy who's won 19 games, who really is a #1 draft pick, but he's still only 26 years old, still growing as a pitcher, and he goes with a 3-2 curveball right there and just gets a nice little routine out. And now he's got 2 outs, and he's able to limit the damage if he can get one of the next 2 hitters out.
Lefty against lefty. And the pitch to Murphy, drilled in for a strike.
And this is the guy he wants right here. You got lefty on lefty. You got Adrian Beltre sitting on deck. He does not want to face him this inning.
Shakes off his catcher a couple of times. Now the 0-1. Boy, oh boy. Right on the corner, 0-2. Not fair.
And David Murphy's thing, you know, comes in for Josh Hamilton. You know, thank you very much. I get to face David Price to a 95 on the black.
Again, shakes him off a couple of times. Going right back to that same pitcher, and you can't blame him.
Well, mentally and emotionally, Murphy's come off the bench. He's thinking left on left. This guy's going to go to his #1, which is probably going to be the sweeping breaking ball or the high fastball. And he's kind of like, I know that you know, and he decides, I'm going to go with 3 fastballs away. And now he pretty much, if he just makes a basic David Price pitch on the outer half plate low, Murphy's out.
High fly ball, sliced down the left field line, but foul.
Yeah, I said basic David Price pitch low and away. Well, Murphy was fooled, and his rear end was in the Texas dugout. But because this ball is elevated, he's able to make a little emergency swing, even though the weight's going backwards. The bat got to go forward and foul it off. And good fortune for David Price, because he would be out there shaking his head if he'd given up a hit on that one.
David Murphy can get out front now, but he keeps his hands back enough to be really pesky.
Price gets him. A run in, a runner stranded at third, and we're at the end of 5 in Arlington now, with the Rays leading the Rangers 4-2 as Price strikes out Murphy, and he's fired up again as he gets out of another jam. All right, fellas, thank you. We go to the 6th inning here in Arlington, a 4-2 game now. The Rays leading the Rangers is Ben Zobrist. Leads it off, takes a breaking ball in for a strike from Derek Holland. Zobrist was at the plate when Carlos Pena was thrown out trying to steal. He was picked off by Holland and was thrown out first to short, trying to steal second to base. Zobrist is back up there again, 2 for 2 with a double and a triple. Derek Holland has gotten as much attention here in these parts and probably nationally, not only for his ability, and he's got a lot of that. As we mentioned off the top of the show, the mustache has taken on a life of its own. I think it's got its own Twitter account. And he's a funny guy, too. He's got a lot of personality. As that ball is pulled foul. He appeared on a local television station doing the weather in a Harry Carey voice. Stay out of the crosshairs because he'll impersonate you. Well, the Buster told us that I guess he's engaged, and when it comes time for the wedding album, for the photos, the hair's got to get cut and the mustache has got to go.
It's going to take about 5 seconds to get rid of that mustache.
Little cream and a cat. Lick it right off. I'll tell you what, that hair. Not going to be in the engagement photos.
Line to third, another play by Beltre. One down. In terms of impersonations, let's see if you can pick out who he's doing right here.
Listen to me, we have Derek Holland coming in here right now. He's about a 6'2", 100, maybe 200 pounds, dripping wet. Who knows? He's crazy, has all kinds of energy. Give him the ball, he's going to take care of it like I take care of politics. He'll terminate you. No.
Can you imagine this guy? I mean, spending 6 months in a clubhouse with this guy?
It'd be great just the 4 days he's not pitching.
Yeah.
This is the guy you want to be on the bus with on the way back from the airport to the hotel.
And he grabs the microphone in the front row that's sitting there next to the bus driver and lights it up for about a half hour. Robin Ventura used to do that when I play with him. Steve Sachs used to do that when I play with him. Those are the guys that keep you loose for a long time.
Base hit into left field for Jeff Keppinger, who's now 2 for 3 as we send it down to Buster.
Terry, you said it would take about 5 seconds to shave that mustache. Well, Derek Holland will have you know it took him 10 hard months of growing and not touching that mustache at all. So he would hope that it would take more than 5 seconds.
10 seconds tops.
That looks like a lot of junior high school guys right before the prom.
He is something. And of course, the better you pitch, the funnier all the other stuff is.
Exactly.
So
You're not kidding.
Keppinger has been lifted for Elliott Johnson as a pinch runner.
There's so few hairs on that lip that each one has a name.
The batter is B.J. Upton. Chopper to third. To second one. To first, double play. That's more like it, says Derek Holland. Inning over. Presented by Taco Bell is brought to you by Ford Service. Save now on name brand tires during the big tire event only at your local Ford dealer. With Terry Francona, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney, I'm Dan Shulman. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. A rubber match of a 3-game series between the Rays and the Rangers in a 4-2 lead for Tampa Bay. And a new second baseman for the Rays, Elliott Johnson, came on as a pinch runner for Jeff Keppinger and will stay in the game in second. David Price, pitch count is kind of high as he goes to the 6th inning. 90 pitches through 5. He's given up 2 runs on 5 hits and faces the middle of the Texas lineup. Beltre, Young, and Cruz.
You know, as many things have gone right for Tampa so far. Texas got 4 more innings. Pretty evident Price isn't going to throw a complete game, and they're only down 2.
And there's some guys starting to move around and loosen up out in that bullpen. Not throwing yet, from our vantage point anyway. We can't see deep into the bullpen, but guys are just doing some deep knee bends and starting to get loose.
Deep knee bends went out in the 70s. I don't know what they're doing up there in Canada, but we ain't doing deep knee bends here anymore.
I think he was talking to you, not me.
Everything that goes out, Earl, comes back in again. I mean, they're just now they're ahead of the trends.
They're not wearing bell bottoms out there either. They're, what are they called now? Flares? Something?
2-2.
Trouser pants? There we go.
Now, is that allowed? Joe Nathan, what he's doing, that's still good?
Yep.
All right.
Whatever he does is good.
Yeah. Closer for the Rangers. Signed a 2-year deal with an option next to the Minnesota Twins. So many good years there.
We walked in their clubhouse yesterday, and he and Mike Adams were playing that video golf game, and they were having a heck of a time with it.
Boys will be boys.
You can't play 36 holes, though. Your fingers get stiff from gripping the baseball. Just 18 holes a day.
I mean, they played 18 holes right in front of their locker. They were playing Augusta, and it was right in front of their locker.
3-2 to Beltre.
I guess the days of Pac-Man are over, huh? And Nintendo or whatever that we had.
Went out with the deep knee bends about the same time.
Exactly.
No, see, look.
Where?
Look.
No, that's not deep bend. He's
not a deep knee bend? He's just practicing.
He's working on his hip right there and stretching it out.
Beltre with a drive, deep left center field, and Upton is there 400 feet away to make the catch.
The left side of second base, the wind has a tendency to kind of hold the ball in here, but if this ball would have been a hit to the opposite field, it would have got out of here for sure. Little change up, he kind of cuts in there, and Beltre got all of it, but the wind kind of held it up, and Upton had enough room. And a little exhale.
Kept him in the big part of the ballpark. Here's Michael Young, a strikeout and a base hit. Remember, David Price has never defeated Texas in his big league career, either in the regular season or in the postseason. 0-6 combined between regular season and postseason. The Rangers knocking the Rays out of the playoffs each of the last 2 years, both times in the division series. 0-2. See the numbers, and they're particularly bad in this ballpark in 2 previous starts. But he's pitching well here tonight. He has battled, gotten out of some jams. The pitch count's getting up there. Activity now officially underway in the Tampa Bay pen. As Young loops one into left center, and on to make a sliding catch is Jennings.
And this is part of why they're so good. Very few balls hit the outfield grass. Look at it. He knows he's got a beat on it.
Jennings in left, Upton in center, and as is the case tonight, Zobrist in right. They can really go get him.
There are some numbers coming into vogue now with the defensive metrics, and he just got a real high score.
Brandon Gomes up in the Tampa Bay pen. Price will try to finish this inning. Nelson Cruz 1 for 2, the batter. His Price is right at 100 pitches right now.
And the way that the lineup stacks up right now, with Gomes thrown out there, who gives up very few hits to right-handers. Texas only has one, Mitch Moore on the bench. That's their only left-hander. So it's a pretty safe bet to bring him in.
Great numbers for Cruz in 9 career at-bats, 5 hits, including a home run against Price.
But if you're Price right now, the good news is he can hit this ball all the way to Fort Worth. It's only 1 run.
Breaking ball, up and away, ball 2. I don't know if any manager in baseball stares at that lineup card more than Joe Madden. Looks like he's got the splits in there, what guys hit against lefties and righties, all kinds of information.
You know, I was trying to sneak a peek today when we were in there, and he kind of guarded it a little bit.
Yeah. High fly ball to right. Zobrist drifting back, makes the catch. 3 fly balls to the outfield, but all caught. Price gets them in order in the bottom of the 6th. Talks things over with his pitching coach Jim Hickey after the inning. 2 deep fly balls and a great sliding catch in left field, but 3 outs nonetheless, and Price and the Rays still lead 4-2 as we go to the top of the 7th inning. Derek Holland is still in the game. Bottom third of the order for the Rays: Luke Scott, Sean Rodriguez, and Chris Jimenez.
Be interesting to see if he's done. You don't see the pitching coach spend that much time normally talking to the starter.
Price, you mean?
Yes.
Yep. You might get a conversation, but you don't see them putting their hands on you very much, like rubbing your shoulders and leaning on your knees and as you talk to. So I would say the body language, the read on is he would be done.
Over 100 pitches. 95 that you see there on your screen is for Holland. Price is over 100, 104 to be exact through 6 innings. Still there, though.
And Holland's done a really good job of pitching himself back into this game.
It really was just the one inning in the second when he got his fastball elevated and really was falling behind the count. As Jim Hickey calls down to the pen to give him the information that we don't know yet.
There's Gomes, who was throwing a little bit earlier. Looked like Peralta might have been getting up. Check swing. And it's a ball and 2 strikes. Pops him up. Tricky play. Beltre back down the line. Makes a fine backhanded running catch. Well, we heard the Derek Holland, Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation. We wouldn't be doing our jobs tonight if we didn't have you hear him do a weatherman as Harry Carey.
Hi, we got some rain coming in over here. Wichita Falls, how you doing? Way up there. Gonna get like 6 feet of rain. Gosh, it's gonna be wet. Get your rain boots on.
Do this.
There we go. This is it. This is what he wanted to do.
Would you look at that? Look at that. Look at the weight a man can lose if he dresses in green.
I'll tell you what, if you're winning, it's personality. If you're losing, he's not concentrating enough.
But every team's got one guy that does Harry Carey, another guy does Tim Kirchin.
That number's growing, though. Ball and a strike, the count on Rodriguez. You know, a lot of different kinds of personalities in that Texas clubhouse. You got Michael Young, who on the surface is a very serious, stoic kind of a guy. Holland, we've seen. Nelson Cruz is a very outgoing guy. It looks like they've got a good mix. And as you said, Terry, before, when you go down, you watch them on the field during BP, you go in the clubhouse, they like each other. They're having fun.
It's a really good mix. That was a really good pitch.
But you don't want to stand out on the mound and look like a surveyor. The umpires will let you know that posture is not something they like. K-Zone, what do you think? A little outside.
And there's ball 4. Mike Maddox, the pitching coach, on his way to the mound. Mark Lowe is up now in the Rangers pen. Well, fans, the MLB Fan Cave is back. This year, 9 cave dwellers will compete to remain in the cave until the final pitch of the World Series. Some of baseball's biggest stars are scheduled to visit and appear in Fan Cave videos. Check out all the latest cave happenings at MLBFancave.com and follow at MLB Fan Cave on Twitter and like the MLB Fan Cave on Facebook.
And I think that visit was twofold. One, to buy some time in the bullpen, and another one to settle his young left-hander down because he wasn't happy with that call that was a little bit off the plate. Derek Holland wanted that. He just wanted to settle him down. He's pitched too well to let something like that get in the way now.
Drives Rodriguez back. Tampa Bay doesn't run quite as much as they used to. Remember, they had Carl Crawford, and he stole a ton of bases. But right now, as Joe Maddon told us, he said the lineup is not as conducive to getting the running game going as it used to be. They hit more home runs than they used to. They steal fewer bases than they used to. But they're still a very effective offensive team.
And Joe is basically saying what is really common sense is you play to your team. If your team can run, you run. If your team hits home runs, you let them hit home runs. But when you have guys that can hit the ball at the ballpark, especially in a place like Texas, you don't want to run yourself out of an inning.
sure not to bring up bad memories, but I'm sure you still have nightmares over some of the games when the Rays were at their peak. And the Red Sox had trouble throwing out runners. They went wild.
Me and the coaches would sit in the dugout, and it looked like they were coming across the mound going from first to third and just skipping second.
Didn't Crawford steal, was it 5 bases in one game against you? Maybe 6 in one game against you. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
How's your night going?
Yeah, it was going better. Thanks.
Sometimes there's just nothing you can do, right? I mean,
you know what? The guy, when he gets on base that many times and they have the lead, Joe used to turn him loose, and it was embarrassing.
Him and Bartlett and B.J. Upton, those guys, those are some horses.
They could create some havoc.
They could run. And Longoria was a little younger, running then at that time, too.
Fly ball to center. Gentry back. Shy of the track. 2 down. Tagging Rodriguez towards second and in there.
Great base running right there. Really good instincts. Sean Rodriguez off the bat knows this ball's caught, and he's going all the way.
They may not steal as much as they used to, but they're still a good base running team, and they can still put some pressure on you.
And now they got a chance with just a little single to score another run. Look at this. He's got it all the way. He's tagging all the way, and he's not feeling the weight. He's going, and he knows he can make it. That's really good heads-up baseball.
Good little slide to the inside there to avoid the tag and the ball.
So in scoring position with 2 down for Jennings, who's 0 for 3. Trying to extend a 10-game hitting streak. Tampa Bay up 4-2 in the 7th. You just don't see many teams do what Rodriguez just did, tag up at first base.
And that's not just luck. That's not just good fortune. That's good coaching. That's preparation. That's things they talk about in spring training. I'm sure that's something that George Hendrick, the first base coach, reminded him of. I mean, they are one of the best teams at baseball at running the bases.
There's a lot of levels to that play, because it's one thing to coach it. It's another thing to give people permission and confidence as you talk about it. And then when it goes wrong, to kind of react the right way so they keep doing it.
Thought about it, but didn't want to risk it going to third. He can already score on a base hit from second.
Things players hate is that you get coached up and you get told to do things, and then when you do it and you push the envelope a little bit, and then your coaching staff and manager, and they're throwing their hat or raising their arms up, and you get the wrong reaction. They're like, what's he want? He's telling me to push the envelope, but he's not reacting. This guy right here, Joe Madden, he reacts very, very well in every situation.
And he spoke of that today, and it was interesting to hear him talk about that, how when relievers struggle, he doesn't run away from them. He keeps them in their role.
He used the word confidence about 5 or 6 times when he talked with us about conversations he has with players and wanting to instill confidence in them. And these are grown men, professional athletes, the best in the world at their craft. But Joe Madden realizes sometimes, as you do too, Terry, how fragile sometimes the confidence can be.
And that doesn't look like a pitcher that's done.
No. The young man on the mound doesn't want to be done either. He's done a good job battling.
Golf toward left center field, and this ball is going to get all the way to the wall. Rodriguez in to score. Jennings racing around second, on his way to third, and in there.
Would have been really, really interesting if Jennings doesn't slide there and he keeps his head up. He would have given himself a chance to have an inside the park home run.
And I'll tell you what, Timmy Foley, the third base coach, wanted to give it to him. Holland was battling and battling to stay in this game, trying to make pitches down in the strike zone. He throws a fastball, gets away with it there, then throws a good breaking ball down, but this one just gets golfed. That's a quality pitch right there. He bites that breaking ball down and in. Just a good piece of hitting to stay down and lift that pitch below the knees for a big 2-out RBI. And Foley right here, he's thinking, oh, if I could have read that cutoff.
If he keeps his head up, he's got a chance to score.
As it is, he's at third with 2 down. So Jennings has tripled tonight. Zobrist has tripled and doubled. Upton has doubled. Scott has doubled. A lot of extra base hits tonight for the Rays. Fouled back by Pena. He's 1 for 2 with a walk.
And again, this is where the defense, they want to shift over so much on Pena, but Adrian Beltre can only go so far. so Jennings can't get a huge walking lead and score on a ball in the dirt that he shouldn't have a chance to score on. I mean, that's about as far as he can get. And because of that, Andrus stays on the left field side of the bag at second. So you actually have a hole on the second base side up the middle.
Yes, he did. 1 and 2.
Which is probably exactly where you don't want a hole. You got a dead pull hitter up, and there's a pretty nice little hole for him on the, on the right field side of second base there.
But another run for the Rays. 7th inning stretch at Arlington. Tampa Bay up 5-2. Welcome back to Arlington. In case you didn't know where we were, we are here at the home of the Texas Rangers. A 5-2 lead for the Rays over the Rangers going to bottom 7. And look who's back. Left-hander David Price is back out there as we take a look now at our game track. Brought to you by Ram. I guess the big news, Josh Hamilton leading with some tightness in his back in the third inning. Didn't sound like it was serious, according to the interview that we heard with Buster Olney and Ron Washington earlier. Day to day, Derek Holland battling but trailing. David Price back out for the seventh, already over 100 pitches. Ben Zobrist contributing in a big way offensively for the Rays. How short of a leash, guys, is Price on?
They have Peralta up throwing, and they've had him up throwing. My guess is they told him as soon as there's a runner on base, you're on a short leash.
Napoli leads it off. 7-8-9 for the Rangers. Napoli, Torrealba, and Gentry.
He's pitched too well for them to allow him to get a loss here.
Back to the changeup, swing and a miss, 1-1. Through 119 pitches against the Angels 5 days ago in a complete game shutout.
That pitch right there will show you he's got something left, though.
So the early off-speed stuff, early in the count, showing that he can establish it and to put it in the hitter's head. The microcosm of that has been the at-bats to Napoli. He's really had him backwards and in between.
When you see Mike Napoli take a called third strike on a fastball, you know you got him mixed up.
They are so used to David Price living and dying with his fastball. In the last two outings, this one is one of them. He has really shown that the off-speed stuff is something that he can rely on now. Paired with the fact that he had beat Napoli up a lot in the past, and now he's showing more weapons. 2 for 13, 10 Ks. Now he's got more weapons to use. He's really got him in between.
Rangers, as we mentioned earlier, have won 6 straight series to start the season. They need to win tonight to extend that streak. They're down 5-2, batting in the bottom of the 7th. Boy, that's a pretty good pitch that Napoli just hit into center field for a base hit.
And again, he's fooled by this pitch, but he's seen enough pitches, and he's strong enough where he just uses those strong hands and gets enough of it to stay through the middle of the field. If he tries to pull this, he's out.
Michael Young and Nelson Cruz with 2 outs a few innings ago did the same thing, but the Rangers weren't able to polish it off with a 2-out hit. Here they get it with no outs, where they have a nice at bat and give himself a chance.
Now Torrealba 1 for 2. Singled and scored back in the 5th inning. Up and away.
And Torrealba coming into this game was really struggling versus left-handers. That may be a reason Joe Maddon's allowing Price to face him here.
Maddon never afraid to manage differently. Doesn't necessarily feel you have to go by the book.
And he talked to us today about doing it in Tampa as opposed to maybe New York or Boston, where maybe he can do some things that maybe flies under the radar a little bit. And I thought that was kind of a neat point he made.
How many guys would have the confidence in their first year as a manager? This is 2006 against you in the Red Sox. David Ortiz was at his peak. He had 4 outfielders. I don't mean like in a shift he had an infielder playing deep. He had an infielder way out in front of the Green Monster. He had 4 outfielders.
4 legit outfielders,
yeah.
and he actually had 4.5 because he had a second baseman in right field.
So there was nobody on the left side of the infield. Literally nobody there. I mean, that's a guy who's pretty secure.
That's a
great
way to put it. That's a very good way to put it. Confident enough to do what you think is right and then answer the questions later. And that showed Joe Maddon a month into his managing tenure how he felt.
Full count.
Well, and Dan, you said the book. Well, they're rewriting the book. They're going into a more detailed book that is based on facts, not just observations that people think. And they're having the guts to kind of say, we're going to go against conventional thinking in some ways when we have facts to back it up.
Napoli, the runner at first, full count on Torrealba.
And a normally running count, would be very surprised if they do run here.
Not going, swung on and missed. Price picks up another strikeout, number 6.
Again, the changeup, the off-speed pitch, not relying. This is the fastest average fastball by a left-handed pitcher in baseball on the mound tonight, and he's using his off-speed stuff effectively.
A job well done by David Price in a ballpark into which he's always struggled, against a team against which he's always struggled. He's got a chance to win it here tonight if Joel Peralta and the rest of the Rays pen can get the job done. A strikeout of Torrealba to end his night, and Price will leave with a 5-2 lead here in the bottom of the 7th. One on, one out, bottom of the 7th as Joe Maddon goes to his bullpen for right-hander Joel Peralta. And Ron Washington will count it with a pinch hitter as Mitch Moreland comes up to bat in Craig Gentry's spot. Remember, the Rangers are in effect a man down after Hamilton left with an injury. They had to bring Murphy in off the bench, so Moreland is the only remaining left-handed batter as he comes in to face Peralta, whose numbers are pretty ugly, but it really was because of a couple of early appearances. He, like most of the rest of the Rays relievers, have been pitching better of late.
And Joe Maddon doesn't have one bit of a problem here with Ron Washington pinch hitting, because Peralta is much tougher versus left-hand hitters because of that change-up or split or whatever he calls it. It's almost like a screwball.
The shift is on. 3 on the right side for Moreland. And a strike. Moreland, a first baseman. Off to a slow start this season. Had off-season wrist surgery. Got a late start in the spring. Fouled back, 0-2. Time now for Better, Stronger, Smarter. Brought to you by Mazda. And the Tampa Bay bullpen, as we mentioned, started off in horrendous fashion. An ERA over 11 over the first 9 games, but the team has played better in large part because the bullpen has done better. Much better over the last 12 games. Peralta a part of that. Rodney is closing. Jake McGee, J.P. Howell, the 2 left-handers. Waves at an off-speed pitch, 2 down.
That was interesting. Last pitch, I thought 0-2 with the shift on, and they throw a changeup. They're going to throw a pitch that has the hitter hit into the shift. If I'm the hitter and I know Tampa Bay is this smart, how can I look for something off speed? I've got to look for something hard away. I've got to say, you know what? They're probably going to pitch me in or something soft, just like we heard David Price in his interview earlier in the game talk about. That's what you probably have to do when we overplay people.
I know, speaking as a former bad hitter, you give pitchers too much credit. I was really good at that.
Here's Kinsler, 0 for 3. The Rangers, a powerful offensive team, have only 6 hits tonight, and they're all singles. They've only drawn 1 walk, and that was back in the first inning. So a good job by David Price, and now Peralta trying to pick him up out of the bullpen. Look at that breaking ball. This is low. 2-0.
But that's the problem right now. He doesn't throw that breaking ball for a strike enough versus right-handers, and now he got himself in a hole against a really dangerous hitter.
Kinsler likes a fastball as much as the next guy. See if he gets one here in a hitter's count. He did. Swings through it. 2-1.
As dangerous as Kinsler is, you got to pitch to him because you don't want to bring the tying run to the plate.
Down low, ball 3, and in jeopardy of doing just that with Elvis Andrus on deck. Fouled back on another big cut by Kinsler. Upset he missed that one, and it's a full count.
I will see what Tampa elects to do with Carlos Pena at first base. Looks like they're gonna hold Napoli on, and the reason here is you got a right-handed pull hitter up. If he hits a ball in the gap, you limit Napoli's chances of scoring. You don't give them that extra 2-3 steps of a running lead. I think this is great.
Popped up right side, but back out of play. More baseball coming your way this week, beginning tomorrow night at 7 Eastern. A Monday Night Baseball presented by USAA from Toronto. The Rangers flying up there after this game tonight. Yu Darvish will be on the mound for the Rangers against Kyle Drabek and the Blue Jays. Wednesday Night Baseball, the first place Baltimore Orioles, who are 14-8 on the season, take on the New York Yankees. Both games can also be seen on ESPN3 and live on the Watch ESPN app. Again, the full count pitch. And again, out of play.
I'm going to get myself home tomorrow, get a couple tacos, get in front of the TV and watch that game. That's going to be a fun one.
I don't know what else you're going to do. You're going to be texting me because I'll be at that game. You're pretty good texting.
I got this new phone.
You got a new phone, but
it had its way with me for about a week.
Yeah, but you're winning now. You're gaining on it. Here comes the 8th pitch of the at-bat between Peralta and Kinsler. Peralta struck out more than the first batter he faced. 3-2 again. Out of play again.
Boy, Ian Kinsler's had about 4 really good swings this at bat.
And as much as Tampa Bay adjusts on the fly, all 3 of his foul balls here with 3 and 2 have been right down the right field line foul over there. And I'm thinking that they would play behind Napoli now and look for the out with a 3-run lead.
But again, it's in the air. It's not on the ground.
And one more time. And one more foul ball.
Well, we're officially in swing mode, as I say. 4 pitches, the last 4 pitches, and 4 swings and foul balls. So Peralta has a slider, and it's big. It's like a curveball almost. And if he could make it look like it's on the inner half of the plate, and then break it as big as he can break it, I think he gets Kinsler.
Meanwhile, Napoli's going to need a timeout soon. And again. Frustrating, Oral, as a pitcher?
Well, it's a little frustrating. You feel really confident that you've got your release point and your ball's in the strike zone. It's not like Kinsler's been fouling off balls that would be called ball 4. So he's very confident he can get in the strike zone. If he could just get his fingers around one in the strike zone, I think he's going to have a chance to get a little ground ball to the left side.
You know, if he wouldn't have run the count full, he could throw that breaking ball.
Yep. But you don't want to walk the tying run to the plate. You're throwing strikes with a fastball, make them beat you with your best stuff, or you can trick them. It's all between the ears.
Gets the call for strike 3. Boy, Kinsler thought it was high, and Ron Washington's out in a hurry to try to keep Kinsler in the game.
I don't know what K-Zone says, but I agree with Kinsler. That ball is up.
It didn't look like it was fooled. It looked like he took it assuming it was definitely high, but the call does not go his way. And Ron Washington, on his birthday no less, just got tossed out of the game.
You know what? Wash came out, said his piece, and was walking away, and Dan Bellino didn't let it go. And that's when Wash came back and got ejected.
Inning after Ron Washington ejected. 5-2. The Rays lead the Rangers. A lot of changes for Texas now. Mitch Moreland, normally the first baseman, after pinch hitting for Craig Gentry, stays in the game in right field. That moves Nelson Cruz from right to left and David Murphy from left to center. And again, if you weren't with us earlier, Josh Hamilton left in the third inning with some stiffness in his back. That's why the Rangers are a man short and being forced into this unusual alignment right now in the outfield, as Evan Longoria bangs a base hit through the left side. Meanwhile, Ron Washington, this is the pitch to Ian Kinsler. That was called strike 3. I think a little bit closer on K-zone than all of us would have guessed. And Ron Washington got
Wash
Ian Kinsler out of there.
Wash came out to protect his hitter and did a good job of it. He broke him up, kept his hitter in the game, and he's walking away. And you got a young umpire that maybe flexed his muscles a little bit that probably didn't need to. Just let Wash go back to the dugout and go about his business.
Here's Ben Zobrist turning around to bat from the left side now against the right-hander. The new pitcher Mark Lowe, and Zobrist continues to swing the bat well as he lines a base hit into right field. And Longoria around to third base and in there. Boy, a good strong throw by Moreland from right field, but it's still first and third, nobody out.
And watch Ben Zobrist in this next week. You're going to see some multiple hit games. He's such a good hitter. Now, he had great at-bats right-handed. He sees one pitch left-handed, and he hits a bullet into right field. So what that tells you is this game's a lot mental.
He's starting to lock in.
Mark Lowe just came in this inning out of the bullpen for the Rangers. He's given up hits to the first two batters he's faced, making his 5th appearance of the season. Activity in the Texas pen in a hurry. Scott Feldman is up now, and a pinch hitter coming for the Rays as Matt Joyce comes off the bench. Pretty good bat to bring off the bench late in the game. Did not start because of the left-hander Holland being on the mound for the Rangers.
And this is where their versatility is unbelievable. Zobrist goes from right to second to far. I mean, they're bringing in an all-star right here to pinch hit.
Yep. It always feels like the Rays have about a 28 or 29 man roster.
And they use it to their advantage.
There's a lot to like about the organization. They make the most out of the resources they have. Always one of the lowest payrolls in baseball. They've averaged 92 wins per season the last 4 years and have made the playoffs 3 times in those 4 years.
And Texas is in a dilemma here in the middle of the infield. You know, they can't give up any more runs. They're playing Kinsler slightly less than double play depth. They're leaving Andrews back. You know, you don't want a big inning, but this is where you're just in a plain old bind.
Just inside. Well, needless to say, Dan Molino wasn't the most popular guy in the ballpark before that pitch, and he's not going to get any more popular whether he was right on the call or not.
And he probably got the call right, but the fact that he flinched didn't help the 48,000 people here screaming at him.
Fouled back. Low throwing hard. That last pitch 96 miles an hour. Joyce, a guy, had an incredible stretch through late April and into May last year. Then slumped badly in the beginning and the middle part of the season. Came on, hit pretty well the last 6 weeks or so in the season. Trying to get a chance to play every day. That is a good pitch by Lowe to get him. Out number 1.
He's throwing hard, but he's also throwing accurately right here. This little breaking ball slider kind of backs up, but it had good depth. And Torrey Albert frames it there at the hollow of the knee, and he gets the call.
Now a double play can get him out of it. B.J. Upton is the batter. He hit into a double play his last time up. He's also had a double and a single. Swing and a miss.
And it'll be interesting to see what Tampa does here. I mean, the stolen base opportunity is there because Texas can't let that fourth run, they can't let them get to 6. I can't imagine them throwing through and being able to make the return throw to get Longoria. So the stolen base is there for the taking.
And it looked like he might have been going, but Lowe pulled the old bluff to third, spin to first move, and Zobrist put the brakes on. There he goes. Put the brakes on. Runner coming down from third. Throw back there. And out at third is Longoria.
Amazing catch and tag by Adrian Beltre down there. He had so much going on to pick up that ball, to hang in there, and to stay with that play.
I don't even know where to start on that play. We got the guy at first running, the guy at third not running, your hitter not doing anything. Obviously, there's a missed squeeze.
Yeah, Longoria sure looked like he thought something was on either the steal or the squeeze.
And Evan Longoria did a great job. Look at him get back in the baseline. This ball, he tries to let that ball hit him.
What a strange play. And a big out. All of a sudden, 2 down and a man at first. Zobrist the lead. Bounces away. He's going for second. Throw down. Not in time. Well, this has been some kind of eventful half inning, huh?
One way or another, they're going to get him in scoring position. May not be conventional.
Pitch. Does a nice job blocking that ball. He tried to backhand it with a runner on, not really conventionally block it because he knew he'd advance. He tried to pick it.
What Tampa does so often with the runner on third is a safety squeeze where they'll push to first. This one was not a safety squeeze. I mean, Longoria had committed to the plate.
So you think the sign was missed by Upton?
There was a mix-up somewhere.
Close, but no at second base, much to the chagrin of Torrealba. 2-1 the count on Upton to get a wild pitch is the scoring on that last play. 3-1.
And again, there's a lot of different philosophies in our game. A lot of managers want to let their guy hit in that situation, build his confidence. A lot of hitters view it as, well, if you're asking me to bunt, you don't think I can drive the run in.
Chases a good slider down and away. 3-2.
There's some energy in this ballpark.
Yep.
Sell out. They've got a chance to really stay in this game. They keep this runner on second, prevent this run. Stranger things have happened in this ballpark with this team.
Down to first. And somehow the Rangers get out of it without the Rays scoring a run. Texas will come up down 5-2 going bottom 8. The Rays still leading in this game. They're up 5-2 on Texas as we go to the bottom of the 8th. After the ball game, stay tuned for SportsCenter here on ESPN. A big day, a big culmination to a big weekend in sports, of course, with the NBA playoffs going on. Derrick Rose is out for the rest of the season. All kinds of action today and tonight in the NBA playoffs and the Stanley Cup playoffs as the second round is underway in hockey. Sunday conversation with the Celtics. Paul Pierce, the Celtics losing to Atlanta today in game 1 of their series. And a full roundup of a busy Sunday in the major leagues. Joyce stays in the game in right field. And Zobrist comes in to play second base. Peralta still on the mound for the Rays. Andrews leads off the bottom of the 8th for the Rangers. A walk and a couple of groundouts for Andrews.
It feels like the Rays have beat him in every aspect of the game. And it's 5-2, and they got 6 outs still.
And even if they go the next 2 innings and hold on for this win, them not tacking on insurance run there, they're going to have to use their guys in the bullpen. It may cost them an opportunity for a better chance for a win tomorrow.
Tampa Bay going home to start a series with the Mariners tomorrow night. Texas up in Toronto. The Rangers Blue Jays game on ESPN at 7 Eastern. Yu Darvish on the mound for Texas. MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. Watch almost 100 live out-of-market games each week on your favorite devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. And that Tampa Bay game tomorrow, by the way, King Felix Hernandez will start for the Mariners against the Rays. Anders with a swing and a bouncer to short. 1 down. Now David Murphy batting in the spot that belonged to Josh Hamilton at the beginning of the night before Hamilton left with some stiffness in his back in the 3rd inning. Does not appear, at least on the surface, and judging by the comments of Ron Washington in his in-game interview with Buster Olney, does not appear to be all that serious. But we'll see what a long flight to Toronto and a short night's sleep does, and whether Hamilton's in the lineup tomorrow night.
That's still a good sign, seeing him in the dugout. I know they'd rather see him in center field, but the fact that he's not sitting back in the training room, that's got to be a good sign.
Murphy a couple of strikeouts since he entered the game. And we've talked about how so many times the Rays will have the infield playing a hitter to pull, and the outfield will play him to hit the ball the other way. Well, obviously their information on Murphy says he drives the ball to right center field. He pulls the ball to the outfield. They don't have a huge shift on him on the infield, but they've got quite a bit of a pull defense in the outfield and a huge gap in left center.
And this is going on Peralta. With the changeup he throws, they're banking that Murphy will be on his front foot and he'll hit that ball to right center, right field, that area in the air.
There's the changeup, swing and a miss on a pitch in the dirt. The tag applied, and that is out number 2.
What a nice weapon when you have a right-hand pitcher that is tougher on left-handers.
And that changeup will do it. And he gets him out in his front foot. Split finger grip. Ball kind of slides through the inner parts of your 2 fingers there, slips through, gives it a little funky rotation, has it fade from left to right. And that arm speed is what really fools the hitter. A fast arm speed, but then the ball comes out slow.
Here's Adrian Beltre, 0 for 3.
And this is where Tampa has done some extraordinary things, getting guys like Peralta, Gomes, guys that have been through the league, back to AAA, and their scouts find something they like, they take the strengths, and they turn them into good relievers in the major leagues on winning teams.
Breaking ball misses high. sounds like they do a lot of homework too, not just on the stuff, but on the character and what kind of a teammate he is.
Makeup.
Yeah, mentally tough.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have the ability to make mistakes, and they don't really make very many.
Like you said, 8 closers in the last 8 years.
Yep. 8 different pitchers have led them in saves. If the last 8 years, and Rodney would be another one this year. Sky high fly ball to shallow right. Inning over. 8 complete in Arlington. Tampa Bay still on top. Taco Bell. Sometimes you've got to live más. And in part by Corona Light, a refreshing change of beer. Top of the 9th and a 5-2 lead for the Rays over the Rangers in the rubber match of this 3-game series here in Arlington before the Rangers head north, heading up to Toronto for Monday Night Baseball tomorrow night, where we'll all get a chance to get a look at Yu Darvish. He will be on the mound for the Rangers. The game begins at 7 o'clock Eastern Time right here on ESPN. Rangers and Jays in the first of a 3-game series. Darvish against Kyle Drabek, who is pitching well so far this year. Meanwhile, in the Ranger clubhouse, you walk in, and as our producer Tom Archer just said in our headset, there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Yu Darvish. And the way he's pitching oral, he might become sheriff in these parts pretty soon.
The Wild Wild West went east. Yeah. They rearmed.
Here's Scott Feldman. Feldman made a spot start for the Rangers on Wednesday. He's kind of their 6th starter, long man, emergency guy, can pitch in a bunch of different roles. They had a rain out, and it changed their pitching around, and they actually skipped Neftali Feliz for a turn, had him in the bullpen for a few days. Feldman made a spot start, went 3 1/3 on Wednesday. As Matt Joyce lifts a fly ball to right field. Moreland the long run for out number 1.
And this is a valuable guy to have in your bullpen. He can give you length out of the bullpen. He can make a spot start. And if somebody goes down, he can make 2 or 3 starts. I mean, every team wants one guy that can handle that job.
And usually that guy's nickname is the Abuser. And this is a quality abuser.
And forgive me, not Joyce, that was Scott. Luke Scott, of course, the batter, who hit the fly ball to right field. Now Sean Rodriguez looks at a knee-high strike from Feldman. Rodriguez tonight, a sac fly, a strikeout, and he's walked and scored. 5-2 Tampa Bay, top 9. Now to play 0-2. 1 week from tonight, we will be in the nation's capital. The Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Washington Nationals. And assuming he's in the lineup, we'll get our first look in person at Bryce Harper, who has played the last couple of days for the Nationals out in L.A., where the Nats lost to the Dodgers again today, 2-0. Here's what we've got. Fellas, in case you haven't booked your travel yet, we'll be back here in 2 weeks. The Angels and Rangers. Boy, the Angels are struggling right now. They were shut out by the Indians today 4-0. We'll have the Cardinals and the Dodgers on May 20th. As Rodriguez strikes out 2 down, and then the Nationals and the Braves on the Sunday night of Memorial Day weekend. Mom's working the phone. Young lady's working the phone.
That little girl's probably, what, 6 years old? I guarantee you she knows how to use that phone better than all three of us put together.
I hear that.
She better have unlimited data plan.
Here's Jimenez. That National League East is going to be a division to keep an eye on all season long as well. The Mets won again today. The Mets are 13-9 as they continue to play well. Tim Hudson returned for Atlanta today and got the win. Went 5 innings. They beat the Pirates 4-3. So Atlanta is 14-8. Hey, who's that on the right, Oral? Speaking of Atlanta.
That's
Look
Mr.
at that.
Maddox, not Mike Maddox, but Greg Maddox.
Doesn't that look strange? Mike's brother and special advisor to the Rangers.
They got a lot of pitching coaches down there.
You might find something in the mailbox in a few days.
Yeah. 7 no-hitters and over 5,700 strikeouts in the presidency.
Nolan threw a little harder.
Good breaking ball.
Greg threw it a little more accurately.
Two out, nobody on. 2-2 the count on Jimenez. Looking ahead to the bottom of the ninth. Young, Cruz, and Napoli coming up for the Rangers. Broken bat, roller to short. In time. 1, 2, 3 go the Rays. One more shot for the Rangers going to the bottom of the ninth. Where the rain has started to fall all of a sudden here just in the last minute. It's coming down right now. At the ballpark in Arlington, Rangers ballpark in Arlington, but that has not dampened the spirits of Ranger fans here. They're down 3, though, and they've only got 3 outs left. Into the game for Tampa Bay. Their closer right now, Fernando Rodney. Kyle Farnsworth on the DL, elbow trouble. Rodney pitching great. Look at these numbers. A perfect 6 for 6 in save situations. Spent the last couple of years with the Angels, mostly in a setup or middle relief role. Had as many as 37 saves. That came with the Tigers back in 2009. Throwing hard, throwing strikes so far this year. Michael Young leads it off. Young tonight 1 for 3, had a base hit to right field back in the 4th. He'll be followed by Nelson Cruz and Mike Napoli. 3 dangerous hitters. The length of the game, and now maybe the rain has thinned out the crowd considerably, but those who are still here making a whole lot of noise, they're into it.
And here's another one of the things we talked about with Tampa. Fernando Rodney comes in, fits in seamlessly, and is putting up tremendous numbers. I mean, they lose Farnsworth, and they don't skip a beat.
The year before was Rafael Soriano, then it was J.P. Howell, then Troy Percival, Al Reyes, Tyler Walker, and all the way back to Danny Baez. And Fernando, if you have a good year, you'll be somewhere else next year.
I don't know about that hat, though.
I know.
I don't. Must be getting old.
That looks straight to you, right, Tito?
He says he's been doing it for years. Breaking ball hit high in the air to right field, not deep. 1 down. Unless the Rangers come back and win, they will suffer their first series loss of the season. They have won each of their first 6 series this year and 12 straight regular season series going back to last season. Of course, they didn't win the most important series in which they played, and that was the World Series in October, losing that in 7 to St. Louis. But make no mistake, this is a deep, talented, confident bunch that, boy, it's so early, but it sure looks like they're going to be playing into October and maybe deep into October again.
And we talk about being early, and it is early. And Anaheim is struggling, but you don't want to let Texas get out so far where they just have too big a cushion where you just can't catch them.
Ooh, we just had a major bolt of lightning beyond the center field wall. And there's the Thunder. That's some serious thunder. Base hit into right field for Cruz. And the Rangers have a base runner with a 1 out of the 9.
I know it's early, but these fans are acting like this is October.
Yep. Let's show you what we just saw. That was during the Cruz at bat. Here's Napoli.
Waiting for Robert Redford to step up to the plate.
Speaking of thunder, I got to tell you, I don't know if there are more than 12 to 15,000 left here. They're making the noise of 40,000. It started with Derek Holland on the mound. Some fans coming here sporting a Holland mustache. It's ending in the rain right now in the bottom of the 9th. The Rangers trying to pull one out.
Boy, I hope that was a fake mustache.
Oh, and 2. Napoli not happy. If it holds up for the Rays, a win for David Price and a save for Fernando Rodney, but he's got 2 more outs to get. And he hit him.
Oh, boy. That is exactly what you didn't want to happen.
Just kind of overthrows it a little bit. You see the change-up grip. He spins it, but it comes out of his hand a little early. When it comes out early, it goes to the right hard.
Hit him right in the wallet.
Yep. They're bigger nowadays.
SportsCenter is next here on ESPN. The Rangers trying to rally in the bottom of the ninth. Tying run at the plate, Jorvik Torrealba. That runs in on him. He fouls it off, 0-1. You got to get creative when Mother Nature comes into play.
And Torrealba's a free swinger. I mean, he's going to go up there and he's not going to walk. He's not going to strike out very much. He's going to put the ball in play. But he might have left. He might have been a little too aggressive right there. That was a bad pitch.
Squibber foul up the third baseline. It's 0-2. The big inning for the Rays was the second inning. They got 3 runs back in the second. Zobrist tripled. Keppinger drove him in with a base hit. Upton doubled and came in on a Scott double, and then Sean Rodriguez with a sac fly to score Upton. And they have held on to the lead since. The Rangers have had some chances. Got a good one going here in the bottom of the ninth. And strike 3 called to get Torrealba.
Ball looks like it's right down the middle, just knee high. That's where it ends up. Rodney does a nice job staying through that ball and just attacks the strike zone.
So 2 down. Runners remain at first and second, and the batter is Moreland. Last chance for the Rangers. Kinsler on deck should Moreland reach and keep it going.
And this is another one of those Tampa pitchers, the right-handed pitcher, but he's tougher on left-handed hitters because of that changeup.
Swing and a miss. Late on the fastball, 1-1.
Well, you know, these fans, they want to see Kinsler hit this inning bad.
Down and away. Ball 2. Kinsler always dangerous, 0 for 4 tonight, but a lot of power. 32 home runs a year ago. 5 already this season. Swing and a miss, 2-2. Boy, 95 Oral with some run on it, too.
Yeah, he's done an exceptional job of cleaning up his delivery to give him a little more consistency. I know he hit a batter this inning, but the delivery is now more the hands start first, and the leg kick has kind of been eliminated, which really looks like it's going to give him more consistency. It's a little unorthodox, but it's being effective so far tonight.
Does he finish him off with a changeup here?
Fastball grounded weakly and off the leg of Rodney. Everybody is safe.
That was going to be a hit no matter what, Dan, Tito. Just coming off that mound of that wet grass. You're going to pick up a wet ball, squibbing off there. You're running away from the base that you need to throw to. Didn't matter how that ball gets booted, it's probably going to be a hit. He's running that way. He's not going to field it cleanly with that body position. And we got exciting times here in Arlington right now.
scored an error on Rodney. Loads the bases, 2 down, winning run at the plate. Cruz at third, Napoli at second. Alberto Gonzalez, a pinch runner, the tying run at first. And Ian Kinsler, what was that you said 3.5 hours ago, Tito?
He wants one fastball. He's not looking to hit this ball down the right field line. He wants to win this game.
Takes it low.
He's looking for something on the inner half of the plate, whether it's a fastball or a changeup. He does not want to hit the ball to right field. He is trying to pull the ball to left in the air.
Outfielders way deep. Swing and a miss.
And Rodney's best pitch is his changeup, but it's somewhat taken away the effectiveness versus right-hand hitters. Not that he can't use it, but it just doesn't have the same effect versus left-handers.
You can see how deep the outfielders are. That's Upton in center field. They're just trying to keep anything in front of them and to keep Gonzalez from scoring from first on a gapper. Swing and a miss. There it is, 1-2.
Good pitch.
Fastball inside before he got him to swing over the top of. Well located down and in. And he comes back with 83 and a changeup and gets him out front. Swings over the top of that one. But you can see where Kinsler was trying to hit it.
One career walk-off home run back in 2009 against the Twins. Kinsler, the potential winning run. And line back to the mound, Rodney the catch, and the Rays win the game and the series, taking 2 out of 3 from the Rangers here in Arlington. Tonight's Chevrolet Player of the Game is the starting pitcher for the Rays, and the winner, beating Texas for the first time in his career, left-hander David Price, who went 6 1/3 and gave up just 2 runs on 6 hits. It'll be a good flight home for the Rays after a 5-2 win over the Rangers here tonight. Coming up next on ESPN, stay tuned for SportsCenter. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. A good series between 2 good teams here in Arlington.